and I'm not sure I agree. This is Kanye West's wife, Bianca Censori. Have we got a photo of her last night?
I wear nothing. That's what she decided.
She wore nothing. A sheer dress over her naked body. And she walked the red carpet like that. Obviously, we can't show you because it's 6 o'clock in the morning, but you can imagine a very curvaceous woman covered in just a sheer dress.
He hasn't made an effort, has he? He hasn't really made an effort.
He was in black jeans and black T-shirt, yeah.
No, he's just standing there saying, yes, she is my wife, basically. But there's nothing really to imagine here. She's a beautifully curvaceous woman.
She's stunning, yeah.
The thing is, Paul, and I can see it's embarrassed you this morning.
Oh, terribly.
Made you shy away. But, I mean, literally, she's wearing, like, some sort of old net curtain over her, and that's it. You can see completely through it.
So she is naked apart, but everything is... Yeah, right, well...
Although...
Alex Davies is with us, who's our reporter on this. Alex, what did you think? You were watching it live last night, weren't you?
Yeah, it was kind of strange for the drama to kick off before the ceremony had even begun. Although Kanye was wearing sunglasses indoors as well, which I think is just as bad as what Bianca did.
Oh, I don't know.
And you think there'll be a bit of a kickback on this? You know, we're joking about it here today, but do you think there'll be any seriousness about this?
Well, it's been reported that they were actually kicked out of the ceremony, even though Kanye was nominated for 2 awards. Although there's a bit of confusion over it. One publication broke it as an exclusive. Others have said they haven't been kicked out. Kanye was up for an award. So we're just waiting for clarification, really.
I wouldn't be surprised if she was kicked out, because that's not appropriate.
Well, I mean, a lot of people have pointed out that it's literally, you know, indecent exposure.
Could it be like the Emperor's new clothes? Maybe they're saying, well, she was wearing something absolutely fantastic, and everybody, that's the whole thing. It's maybe the whole thing, the whole music industry is based on the Emperor's new clothes, which is the clever thing she's done, or she just wanted to be naked.
I don't know. So she walks onto the red carpet, she's in a fur jacket, and then she very seductively takes it off.
Right.
With her back.
Swinging it around.
She's not looking at the paps, and then she takes it off and she turns around to the paps. But she keeps a very stern face, he keeps a very stern face. And when you said, is it what she wanted, it's maybe, is it what he wanted? Did he want her to go out looking like that?
No, I think he did. I don't think she wanted it, by the looks. My reading of the situation was that.
What do you mean she doesn't want it? I mean, she wouldn't come along with nothing on if she wasn't willing.
I think Kanye's got quite specific ideas about what the women next to him should look like. I've got no proof of that.
Well, if I was there, I would immediately, I'd have rushed over to her, I'd have put my arm around her and said, please let me take you off.
And put your coat over her.
No, wait a while before I did that.
Oh, okay, fine.
But we'll get her off there. That's the way. Very good.
You wouldn't have minded too much, would you? If you were walking the red carpet with her.
Oh, it's not for me to say. Have your say, have your view. Get in touch with us today. We'd love to hear from you. Let's go to the news. Top story. Could Britain be spared President Trump's tariffs? It's fascinating how everybody is in fear of this and jumping back. I think you'll get to a stage where no one will trade with Trump. So, you know, I think he better be careful about this.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, he spoke overnight and he says UK is out of line, but admits something could be worked out.
Will definitely happen with the European Union, I can tell you that, because they've really taken advantage of us. And, you know, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars, they don't take our farm products, they take almost nothing. And we take everything from them, millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm product. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see the UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I'm sure that one, I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union it's an atrocity.
So what about the response to this?
Well, the EU has put President Trump on notice, vowing to hit back against what it calls hurtful tariffs.
Now, this threat comes ahead of Keir Starmer's trip to Brussels. That's happening today, where he will be warned to keep the EU at arm's length for the sake of the UK's special relationship with the US.
Well, let's get the thoughts now. Political commentator Theo Usherwood, who joins us in the studio. And with the threat of Trump's tariffs, so Keir Starmer is going to have to tread carefully with this one.
He's got a very, very fine line to tread. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Both. Of course, he's going to be the first leader, first Prime Minister since Brexit to actually be allowed to attend a EU summit in Brussels. And you heard Donald Trump there. He was clear. You know, he's putting, for the moment, he's putting the UK in with the European Union. But he's saying to the UK, look, he's saying to Keir Starmer, if you back away, if you find a way that we can do a deal, not aligning yourself with the European Union, then I'm sure that we can work something out. But Keir Starmer is looking for this pact, a trade pact with the EU, which will involve, in return, by the way, some sort of youth mobility scheme. The EU don't give us anything for nothing. And that risks, I think, going by the rhetoric from Donald Trump there, that risks just only increasing his ire and anger towards us.
But what about, can Trump really go around doing what he's doing, saying what he's saying? What if there's a backlash? What if people begin to say, well, we're not trading with you, Trump?
Well, look, he's going for the America First strategy. And there's obviously been a lot of, the reaction has been, well, we're not, as you say rightly, Eamonn, we're not going to trade with you, Trump. But what he's doing by putting these tariffs on Canada, Mexico, China, is he's making it much easier for American firms to manufacture products in America and sell them within America. So he's putting American jobs, his strategy, and we'll see whether it works out, is to put American jobs, American companies, American families first, because it's going to now be, if you're trying to import into the United States, your goods are going to be much, much more expensive than American goods. And that's the strategy that he's employing. Now, will that lead to inflation? Undoubtedly. Could there be a backlash? Very likely. But, we've seen what he's playing the role of the villain with this, sure. But at the end, it is likely that when it comes down to it, that actually his hope is that the European Union, Canada, China just can't afford to go into a trade war with the United States and will back down.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens later on today when the market's open. The Canadians are already talking about removing bottles of American liquor from their stores. So that will be an interesting one to watch. In terms of the EU, what are we expecting the reception to be like later on today? Because Macron, reportedly in the papers, is going to use the opportunities. Keir Starmer sat there at this lovely dinner tonight to say, well, clearly Brexit has failed because you sat here with us.
Yeah, and he's going to be saying, you need to eat humble pie.
Yeah.
The European Union, it is a club, and we now want back into the club, and we'll have to pay our membership fee. We're not prepared to accept. Keir Starmer is not prepared to accept wholesale free movement of people. He knows that will lead to higher immigration. He cannot afford to do that politically, and therefore it's going to be very difficult to see how he actually strikes a meaningful deal with the European Union, because they don't divide. We want, for our companies, we want less bureaucracy. I think if you're trying to import into the European Union, it's something like, for some companies, something like 300 different forms that you need to fill in. It slows trade down. We don't have tariffs, but in order to get that removal of the bureaucracy, it is likely we are going to have to accept some form of free movement of people. And what's been talked about, as I said, was this youth mobility scheme where young people between 18 and 30 can sign up to come and work in the UK, live and work and study in the UK.
But
and vice versa,
that will
we
add
can
to
go.
net migration as well, won't it?
It will add to net migration, but and this is something that's been talked about previously, and it's a little bit off the hoof, this, but it might be that Keir Starmer could try and say, well, actually, this is separate to migration numbers, because actually we know the term that they will be within the UK on this youth mobility scheme. It could be 1 or 2 years, maybe 3 years, and that they'll leave at the end of it. Therefore, we don't need to include them within net migration numbers.
OK. Theo Ashwood, good to see you this morning. We'll see you
Thanks,
next hour.
Theo. 11 minutes past 6 o'clock on this Monday morning. Thanks for your company. We're going to bring you the weather update. It was a gorgeous day yesterday.
Wasn't it just?
Will it continue today? Good morning, Catherine. Chalk.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Looking ahead, it's going to be turning wet and windy in the northwest, drier in the southeast but turning colder as we see higher pressure building. So it's been a cold start across the southeast but a bright start here. Across much of England and Wales though, it is going to be a largely dry day through Monday. There'll be a few showers maybe across the Midlands and the southeast of England, but across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, increasingly unsettled, wet and windy with heavy spells of rain, but mild here, temperatures coming up at around 10 or 11 degrees. So through the rest of Monday evening then, that band of rain will continue to slowly edge its way in from the west, affecting much of Scotland during rush hour. So do take care if you are out and about. There'll be some strong winds and perhaps some surface water flooding. Across Northern Ireland, a cloudy picture here with outbreaks of rain just edging in later on in the evening. Across much of England and Wales, though, holding on to generally cloudy skies and staying largely dry. So as we go through the rest of Monday evening and overnight, heavy spells of rain persisting across Northern Ireland and much of Scotland, slowly sinking its way south and eastwards and accompanied by some very strong winds. Towards the south of that, though, largely dry across much of England and Wales, and temperatures for all of us staying up above freezing. So a frost-free start to Tuesday. But a damp start, especially across northern parts of England and then into Wales, with this band of rain slowly trying to sink its way south and eastwards. Ahead of that, often dry and cloudy across much of south and eastern England, but behind across Northern Ireland and Scotland, sunny spells, frequent showers, turning colder here. Some of the showers could turn a little bit wintry over the hills towards the south, highs of 10 or 11 degrees. Bye-bye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
These big music awards happened in Los Angeles last night, the Grammys. They may mean nothing to you, but certainly the spectacle is worth having a look at. We'll be back with that right after this break.
I'm Emily Carver. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
An absolute monster. It took Chloe and Sean Ing 90 minutes to reel in this gigantic 8-foot-long monster fish from Chigborough Fisheries in Essex. And upon weighing this enormous marine beast, it was found to have been 7 pounds heavier than the existing British record, a 143-pound catfish caught also in Essex. But as I understand it, you actually went for a Chinese meal when fate struck. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So I was fishing an area of Chigborough where you have to fish at a fair distance. So I cast my rods out and then we ordered a Chinese. And yeah, so I got the bite at about 10 to 8 at night. And then about 20 minutes into it, my phone started ringing, the Chinese guys at the gate with my delivery. So I had to send a couple of guys off to go and get it. And then, yeah, the fight, obviously, you can't just stop the fight to go and get your Chinese. So, yeah, the fight went on, for about an hour and a half in total. There's no net in the world that's big enough for this fish. So we had to send out, first of all, I sent out a mate, Alex. He went out there to go and basically use what we call a sling. So that's a safe apparatus that we use to take the fish out of the water. He then went to and he turned around and he was like, we're going to need another sling. So then we sent out another friend with a sling, and these slings are 4 foot long each. So then we had the catfish wrapped up in 2 slings, and it was still slightly longer than that. And then we got to a point where we was like, now we've got to try and get it out of the water to photo, to weigh it, because obviously we knew then that it was possibly going to be a UK record.
GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. Now, it's officially awards season, and last night the 67th Grammys took place in LA.
Right. Never a dull moment, from Beyonce winning Best Country Album to the Beatles picking up a win for their AI track. Let's not forget the Best and Worst Dressed with Kanye West's Better Half. That's not her, causing a stir with a nude look.
Well, she walked naked down the red carpet.
Yeah, it's silly to talk about it and not see her. But anyway, there wasn't a lot to see. She wasn't wearing anything. But it's got everybody talking today. There was also a focus on supporting relief efforts following the Los Angeles wildfires. And that was very much a change of mood at the ceremony.
Well, we're joined now by GB News digital entertainment editor Alex Davis. Good to see you this morning,
Good
Alex.
to see you both. Thank you for having me.
Before we get into all of the music, 'cause it is about the music, should we talk about the controversies and the drama? Because there was
Why
plenty
not?
of it, wasn't there?
There was plenty of it. Like I said earlier, it started on the red carpet, very much when Kanye stepped out with Bianca. She's first off, she came out in a fur black jacket, which is sort of, you know, that's fine. People wear whatever they want. And then she turned her back to the paparazzi and slowly removed the fur coat to show a very sheer. Well, there was nothing there really, and you could see her everything.
Yeah.
As she then soon her naked body, as she soon turned.
But it was a very beautiful naked body, it has to be said. You know, naked bodies
I mean,
go.
she's stunning, yeah, don't get me wrong.
Well, she stole my outfit idea for today, which was annoying, but yeah. So that was the first controversy of the night, but the Grammys weren't done there. Like you mentioned too earlier, the Beatles' AI track won Best Rock Performance. That's caused a bit of a stir with all.
Explain that to me. It's not for real.
So the idea is, they've had this track for decades, the Beatles, the surviving Beatles, and they've never been able to release it because of the sort of mess surrounding the vocals of John Lennon. And over the past few decades, McCartney and co have been trying to get this record out, and they were finally able to with the help of AI. Now, it was released, I think it was released it might have even been late 2023. But it was released with the help of AI, and people are saying it sets quite a dangerous precedent for the future of music.
Who's that man we're looking at?
That is John Lennon's son.
Oh, right.
He accepted the award for Best Rock Performance last night on behalf of the Beatles.
But you can see why other artists would be worried about that.
Why?
Because it sets dangerous precedent. If you're winning awards for making an album with AI, you'd be like, well, what's the point of us being here as artists if AI can just win Best Album?
I just had a chat with Paul Coit, and we were saying that eventually you may even end up with a complete category just for sort of artificial
That's not a bad idea,
songs.
though, actually.
Yeah. Because it will do, because, I mean, look at where it's taken over in all aspects of life. Why not in songwriting and songmaking?
Okay. Right, well, the big four winners last night were Album of the Year.
Album of the Year, that went to Beyonce, another controversial sort of sticking point, because she not only won Album of the Year, but she won Country Album of the Year. I think we've got a clip of her giving her speech for the Country Album of the Year somewhere. Obviously, she got a bit of a standing ovation there. Taylor Swift actually handed her the award. She's a previous winner of that category. But country and Western music fans aren't best pleased with her winning that award.
Yeah, I think it's quite controversial because Chris Stapleton was in that category, who is a really incredible country singer. Beyonce's great, don't get me wrong, but she's not a country singer,
The one
is she?
track that I know from that Texas what?
Texas Hold'em.
Texas Hold'em.
You like that song?
It's very nice, very good.
It's a toe tapper.
Is it because she hasn't got a tradition in country music, or is it the composition of the album?
I think probably a bit of both. Like, she's obviously not traditionally a country music artist. She's got a background in R&B, pop, so on and so forth. And then she just decided this year that Cowboy Carter would be a venture into a different genre. It's done okay. Like, I've listened to most of the songs on there. They're okay, but I'm a big fan of Chris Stapleton. He's got some brilliant country songs. Lainey Wilson is another good country artist. I just think a lot of people who are actually fans of that genre feel like it's a bit of a cop-out, really.
I'm not sure what the difference is between Record of the Year and Song of the Year, which is a good job because they both went to the same person.
Yeah, Eva did a voting Grammy board, apparently, the 13,000 members. Kendrick Lamar's diss track towards Drake, who is another famous rapper. It also won Best R&B Song of the Year, Best R&B Record or Performance of the Year.
He cleaned up.
He absolutely cleaned up. One of his colleagues who was on stage with him did a sweeping motion to emphasise just how well Kendrick Lamar had done at the ceremony. Again, another toe tapper.
I play you his music in the break. He's very. You'd like him. Yeah. You'd like his songs. It's very good. And what about the Brits? How do the Brits get along?
Brits did okay.
Well, the Beatles, clearly.
The Beatles did. Yeah, the Beatles won. The Rolling Stones won as well for, I believe, the best rock album with the one they released last year. Charlie XCX, she did okay. She got 3. She was nominated for 8. She won 3 for her album Brat. I'm sure we all had a Brat summer last year. And one of the songs off of that. Ray missed out on Best New Artist to Chappelle Roan, which was a shame. I think Ray's a fantastic vocalist and probably one of the best talents we've got coming through. And there was a few other losses as well. Jacob Collier missed out on Album of the Year. So it was a bit of a mixed bag. Like I say, the Beatles, the Stones, Charlie XCX, but not too much to shout about on this side of the pond.
Well, Alex, come back and shout about lots more that happened later in the show. But for the moment, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And if you've got any nominations you'd like to say or talk about, have your say this morning with us, please do get in touch and we'll try and reflect that as to who your big winners should have been.
Oh, now this is new. We're giving you 2 chances to win in our latest Great British giveaway. We've got 2 amazing prize bundles to be won. Each bundle contains a brand new iPhone, £500 to spend in your favourite store, and then £10,000 in tax-free cash.
Okay,
so do you fancy a chance?
Your chance to be one of 2 winners, of course. Here's what you need to do.
The Great British Giveaway is officially 1 year old, and we have a birthday treat for you. We're giving you not 1, but 2 chances to win this month, with 2 prize bundles that include an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash. But that's not all. You'll also get a brand new iPhone 16 and a £500 shopping voucher to spend at your favourite store. So why not be extra lucky this month? For a chance to win an iPhone, vouchers and £10,000 in cash, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB11 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 7th of March. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Absolutely, 2 chances to win, and it could be you. Paul Coit, it will be him, with all the sports news right after this very short break on this Monday morning.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In Perth and Kinross, the A989 remains closed in both directions along Tate Street in Perth because of flooding. In Glasgow, the A77 is closed in both directions along Pollock Shores Road after a burst water main on Saturday. In South Yorkshire, the A630 is closed each way along Trafford Way off the A19 at Markets Roundabout in Doncaster for an investigation. In Gloucestershire, the A466 remains closed at Llandogo after the storms. Now, trains aren't running between Watford Junction and St Albans Abbey because of a shortage of staff. In London, the A212 is closed along Perry Hill in Forest Hill after an accident. In Kent, the A227 is closed between Rootham and Fairseat for an investigation. On the M3 in Hampshire, 2 lanes are closed northbound after an accident between junctions 5 and 4A from Hook to Farnborough, causing delays. And that's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Oh my word! Amazing football results yesterday in the Premier League, which I'm now going to discuss with Paul. I'm just looking at these results, and the most stunning of all, most amazing of all, is Tottenham winning 2-0 away.
I know.
Thank God.
How about that? What are the chances? Brentford, not only did Spurs win, they won away from home, and Brentford are usually good at home. I mean, what is going on there?
Brentford, good team. I wouldn't have given you much of a chance to win that.
You know what? I didn't either. I do this prediction thing every week, and with Clive Allen, and always, we'll go, Spurs win. And this time I've just thought, no chance. There's no way Spurs are going to win away at Brentford.
Well, it was an own goal. Got you
the first one was,
underway, and then a very good winner.
It's a good result. I mean, it's nice that we could talk about that and avoid talking about Arsenal, but really, I mean, Arsenal's performance yesterday, it's whether we say how bad Manchester City were or how good Arsenal were. I think it was a bit of both. But Manchester City, I mean, every time you think, hold on, this is a new dawn and something's going to happen and maybe Pep's turning it around, things go bad again. Before do you hear about the celebration and some of the housery that was going on around Erling Haaland? Well, I'll tell you about that first. Is that Miles Lewis-Skelly, he's 18 years old. I mean, this kid is an unbelievable footballer. So he scores a goal. Now, and then what he does is when he scores, because what Erling Haaland had said about Arteta was say that be humble thing. Do you remember that? That was in the last game when they drew 2-2. He was saying stay humble, and... So anyway, they got her own back. And also when Skelly scored, have a look at this. So what he does is sits on the floor and does Erling Haaland's celebration right in front of him, which is almost like he's meditating, and sat there for about a minute in front of Haaland. And, it's just a bit over the top, don't you think? A little too much of that going on?
A good kick would sort him out.
Yeah.
I think what I'm amazed at is that City crumble and crumble so badly. You looked at City last year, the year before, whatever, and they're just unbeatable.
It's really difficult to work out what's going on. But anyway, this is what Pep Guardiola had to say after the game.
The beginning is not easy, but we react really well. We give away another chance that Havertz missed. But after that, we played the game, I think, in a high level and in the level that we can be. And after the momentum shift in 2-3 minutes, the 1-1 to 2-1, and the circumstances, it was not for the pass. I would say the pass was not good, but the decision to do that pass was perfect.
What was interesting, it wasn't so much what he was saying, it was the way he was saying it. Have you seen, there was, going back to, and it seems that when they lose, he starts getting a bit scratchy. Scratchy around the face,
he's on
scratchy
edge.
on the arm. You can see he's not happy, but he's having to do these press conferences, the same one, over and over again. What's going on? How comes you're losing? And he's trying to come up with something, and we did this with it. But it ain't working at City at the moment. Something has to change.
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good at United either.
Oh, goodness.
Just terrible reading. I mean, usually Spurs lose, we lose. Spurs win, we win.
Yeah.
But not this time. Good win for Crystal Palace again, away from home. And certainly Old Trafford is not a fortress.
It is not. 3rd out of 4 games that Crystal Palace have beaten Manchester United. And they've won. It's just not a fortress at all. 5th home defeat in the last 6. So us and you, we're vying for that 12th place. Yeah. So that's what we're going to be going for. So we'll see. But Manchester United and Ruben Amorim, I mean, what do you do? I mean, you can't get rid of him now. He's got to make changes. But how long do you sit because it isn't working?
Oddly enough, I think no matter what the results are, I think the manager's the right manager. I think he's good. I think he'll come good. It's what he's got to play with.
Yeah, I think so. So you've got to give him time. Got to give him time.
And now, Rashford went to Villa.
Yeah, Rashford's gone on loan to Villa, so that's happening.
Now, is that a good thing?
Well, is it a good thing? It's probably a good thing for him. It's probably a good thing for Manchester United. Is it a good thing for Villa? Because they're going to pay 75% of his wages. And he's on 350 grand a week. Yeah. So is it going to be worth it? I'm really not sure. But one more thing. Do you know that car we were talking about last week?
Yeah, the Merc.
The Mercedes. It was sold. So let's have a look at it
this
one more
time. Sterling Moss's car, wasn't it?
It was Sterling Moss's car.
Oh, the one with the picnic blanket interior.
That's the one. That's the one. So it was sold.
Beautiful.
At auction. It's the W196 Stromlinenwagen, as you well know, with the livery there, that was driven by Fangio in 1955. 51 million euros. You know, when they start doing the auction and they go, right, who's going to give me this, who's going to give me that? They were going up in 5 millions at a time. Who's going to give me 10? Who's going to give me 15? Can you imagine?
Very casual.
I don't know who bought it, but someone extremely rich, but they haven't revealed who.
But you'd be frightened to drive it, wouldn't you? I'm sure it won't
couldn't
be driven.
drive it.
I know. Can you imagine trying to reverse into a space in that and getting it wrong? Oh.
Very good. Thank you, my friend.
Very nice, though. Yeah.
Thanks, Coity.
Thank you.
Do stay with us. Still to come, Dawn Newsom and Chris Akabusi will be here to go through the papers. But first, if you're in search of some winter sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European holiday destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Well, there's plenty of fine weather around as higher pressure becomes established, but unsettled in parts of Greece. So across the Canaries, largely dry on Tuesday. Across Gibraltar, perhaps just seeing some spells of rain or showers. Largely dry across parts of Italy as well with sunshine, but across Greece, we have got an area of low pressure, bringing some showers, perhaps quite heavy at times. But looking ahead across Wednesday and Thursday, plenty of settled weather and feeling pleasant too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Feathers McGraw, Wallace and Gromit's their villain, has become an unlikely hit at UK tattoo parlours. He's menacing.
He is, yeah.
And
in fact, he doesn't speak, and he's got this glove on top of his head trying to convince us he's a chicken or something.
And that is a real tattoo that someone has decided to have there. What do you two think about tattoos? Are they express themselves? Or?
I love it. So I've basically got Dr. King.
There we go.
Me.
Oh, there he goes. Nice. He's showing us.
If you can't fly, run.
Nice.
That's probably slightly more meaningful than having the villainous England.
Oh, come on, Trey. You got Feathers McGraw?
Maybe not. It's kind of got that kind of, you know, when you go abroad and you're beef or Magaluf
Tenerife
and you get a quick tattoo. It's looking like that,
chest,
or like a pirate or something. It's kind of got that vibe, not for me. However, I do get the sentiment sentimentality around it. You know, some people have grown up on Wallace and Gromit and they love it and it has meaning. And he is a well-written character, so I get it.
Brilliant,
but
isn't it?
I prefer my tattoos a bit more meaningful.
Bit more, yeah. I feel like as well, there's a surge in it. Lots of people have had it, but then is it then going to become unpopular because of it? And how many people regret the tattoos? Apparently, not just 14% of people regret tattoos.
Wow.
See, I think that's where the meaningful side comes into it. I've got a couple of meaningful tattoos, and I know I will never get bored of them. Not one on my wrist, one on my ankle. They're not hidden, but yeah, I think because they mean something to me, I'll never get bored.
Yes, exactly. I think that's important. If you're gonna, you know, a tattoo's for life, isn't it?
That's the thing.
It's got to mean something.
I'll be indecisive. I think I'll get something.
I want to keep on my body forever.
If I had about 6 or 7 pints and then stumbled into a tattoo parlour,
you'd come out with
something chaotic. A disaster could happen. Then I walk out. Oh no, I've got this for the rest of my life.
You might become addicted.
Well, let's hope not.
Some people do.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're delighted back. Yeah, and we've got Dawn Neeson and Chris Akabusi in the studio, and they're going to go through the stories that are making the headlines in the papers. What's grabbed your attention, Dawn?
Oh, well, we have to start with our, as everybody is seeing it, the Brexit betrayal of Keir Starmer. Obviously, he had a very cosy Sunday afternoon with the German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, yesterday.
It did look cosy, didn't it?
Very cosy, got on very well, don't they? And now off to Brussels, the first time since Brexit that a British leader has been out there. Discussing the defence policy. That's what Keir Starmer says he's out there to do, discuss the defence policy, whether that's actually the truth or not, given that only 18% of people in this country now have any trust in any politicians whatsoever. But it is 5 years after Brexit and we are still talking about it. And it's an informal meeting with 27 leaders of the EU bloc. First British leader to do so since Brexit.
Peculiar timing, Dawn, when we're talking about Trump's tariffs and he's saying that this is definitely going to happen to the EU.
This is the thing, and Trump overnight was saying he wasn't happy with Keir's behaviour. No. Like, Keir's been a very naughty boy. But Keir's OK. He
might be able to work
because, I mean, Trump is also talking about, as well as the 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada, he's also talking about slapping similar trading tariffs on the EU. But that's where Brexit might have done in our favour because we're not part of the EU anymore.
But then that's the night where Sir Keir Starmer decides to go for dinner with the EU.
Yes, exactly. The timing is a bit odd. Yeah. The problem with the whole thing, Ellie, is, you know, we left the EU bloc because we wanted our own independence. We wanted to make our own decisions. And now we're going... It feels to me like we're going capping because we can't be the winner in this situation. They've got all the ace cards, haven't they? So
no, they don't.
What can we gain from it?
You got France groaning and moaning and going to lectures and whatever. Are you simply trying to tell me there can be a EU defence bloc without the United Kingdom involved in this, Chris? I think we've got an army and air force and navy, and I don't think Europe can afford not to include us.
100%. I think that we are big players in the European economy and the market. You've got Germany, you've got France, you've got us. And whether we're in or out, you've got to consider our thoughts, our actions, and our deeds. So I'm not. When Sir Keir says we're not going to go back into the European Union, I don't believe him. I do believe at some stage, for example, when I was a youngster, it was called the European Common Market. So it could change from being the European Union to something else. I do believe that he is angling to get us ever closer. And in 2016, we voted to get out, and we are out. And we can be closely aligned to them, to the market, without actually being consumed by them.
Yeah, but we have to give up more than they have to give up. I mean, they want fishing rights. They want free movement of people under 30. Free movement of people under 30 from 27 other countries. We get free movement of people under 30 in this country, one country. That doesn't sound fair to me. And when you talk about our army, our defences, our military, we have less armed forces, it's sort of like the infantry, the soldier type. Then you can fit in Wembley Stadium. 70,000... Sort of like, you know,
but Europe still need them. Europe still need them.
Yeah, but I mean, Europe have got much bigger. I don't think they're really worried about us. I think they want to get
we'll
what
have
they
the
can
technical
get from us.
capabilities.
We're still in NATO,
at the forefront.
We're still in NATO.
We're still in NATO. We're not talking about NATO. We're talking about the EU bloc here. Resetting Brexit. Without anyone actually explaining what resetting Brexit actually means.
I mean, there's silly things like travel. And I'm not sure what the situation is, but I mean, if I wanted to go to Paris tomorrow and it's February, have I to do something different with my passport? Have we, or can we still all just travel?
Of course, you can still just travel. I mean, you won't go through the EU.
But there was something about having to ask permission to do something as European travellers.
Again, my sort of conspiracy theorist brain. At some stage, Mr. Blair will get his desire of a digital ID passport, and you'll be able to travel all over Europe just by scanning yourself and showing that you are who you are. So, you know, a lot of the discussions we've got right now, I do believe, are just buttering us up to go, OK, let's have the passport, the digital ID, please.
Chris, should we have a look at this Ofsted revamp in the papers?
Yeah, OK. So... Ofsted has come under a lot of pressure after...
This is the education monitoring body.
Yeah, you know, so schools used to be evaluated by under sort of 4 brief words: outstanding, good, requires improvement, or inadequate. If you were inadequate, you went into special measures, and that could happen from one term to another. And so it was a very full time, not just for the schools, but for the head of the schools. And one lady took her life because she couldn't stand what was going to happen to her. Now they've got a plethora of words, 40 words, that are going to explain a little bit more detail, a little bit more nuance around how a school is operating, bearing in mind the different schools are placed in different geographical demographics and are working with different sorts of pupils. And so leadership, governance, development, culture, behaviour, attitudes. So talking more about that so that you, as a parent, when you look at that school, is it appropriate for my child in that school?
Does it make it easier for parents, or does it make it a lot more complicated?
Well, this is the argument they're having. They think that it might make it more complicated because there's a lot more to get your head around. But they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. But you've got to have some sort of way of regulating
standard.
Look,
here's what I don't understand. If I go into a Spar supermarket, everything's at a certain level. If I go to McDonald's, I know what to expect on the menu. Everything's going to taste the same, whether I go to one in Brighton or whether I go to one in Birmingham. They're all the same. Why the heck can't I send my kid to school and I know what standard they're going to be taught to?
Well, yeah, but
why? Why? Sorry, why? Why can't you just send your kid in one end and they come out the other end at that standard, at that sort of?
But you sent your I mean, I sent my children to junior school. You know what? I know what my local school's like.
Yeah, but it's all subjective, isn't it? Because you've got different teachers, you've got different.
Well, wait a minute. You've different people working in McDonald's all over the country, but the product's the same at the end of the day.
But children aren't all the same. Children aren't food.
Customers aren't all the same. I really just do not see whether the level of attention, care and expertise is not the same in every school around the country.
The irony is that's what Ofsted was brought in to do, to ensure that all children were given an equal education. Obviously, it's gone horribly wrong along the way somewhere because, as you say, Chris, that poor teacher ended up taking her life because of that one word that damned her school.
Yeah.
It was only a tiny little thing they'd done wrong. The school was in generally very, very good.
But schools serve different demographics, don't they? So if you are in an area which is run down, got a lot more challenges, that your children are going to have a different experience of education than if you're in a leafy suburb which has got...
Look, Chris, wait a minute. I went to a school in a working class area, 44 pupils in my classroom, right? 44, not 20 or whatever, 44. Thankfully, with the grace of God, I didn't come from an academic household. There was no books in our house or anything, but I passed the 11+. My brother passed the 11 plus.
Yeah.
That's the bit that made a difference to my life. What I'm trying to say is I was aware that it was a good primary school in a bad area. What was the problem? The product was good.
Yeah, but we're from a different generation. Where there were a lot more deference, for example, was key. The teacher themselves had an authority and a gravitas that they don't possess today. They were there to teach, not to nanny. There's so many things that a teacher has to do today.
When I think of it, we got a leather strap on our hands.
Yes, the cane.
A leather strap.
Mr. Sharp,
for spelling mistakes, for never being pumped, for being being late for school, for not being queued up properly or whatever it is. We just got it all the time. All you did was lick your hand, rub your hand, wait.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the way it went.
The kid had to stand in the corner with a D on his head. D for dunce.
Oh, that's me.
I know. But it happened.
Didn't do either of them any harm, did it?
Well,
I don't know about
that. But I'd be interested to know if the inspections changed at all, because the way it used to be, because both my parents are teachers, was you'd get a message the night before. Ofsted would let the head teacher know, we're coming to inspect you tomorrow, and all of the teachers would just go into sheer panic mode, make sure all their paperwork is in place, and then they'd do their lesson plans, tell all the children to behave themselves, and if anybody asks you, tell them that you have a great time in school, and that would be it for 2 days.
I do think it's changed to do because now schools prepare for Ofsted, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But they don't have much warning, as Ellie said, and it's incredible.
And that's part of the issue, because it's very stressful. Whereas I have heard it's put out there, perhaps this is the way that it's going to change now, the inspection process should be more like coursework throughout the year, and schools have to submit results and the lesson plans that they do.
Well, then when you go to work and you work for a certain council here, Dawn, tell us about...
well, you are not allowed to be confident and driven.
Right, so if they advertise a job, they can't say we're looking for confident applicants.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't do that if you live in North Devon. North Devon Council recruitment training slides been seen by The Sun. Examples of 52 masculine-coded words. You're going to be very angry with this one, Ellie.
So
50
you think
feminine-coded words that you can't use anymore.
So you would see confident, driven and honest as a masculine coded word.
Not me personally, no way.
Those are all very good words that you'd want to be.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Confident, driven and honest,
absolutely.
And any employer would want that of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, Ellie, the feminine terms that you can't use anymore are kind, loyal and polite. I'm sorry, I also want people
three
to be
great
kind,
words,
loyal and polite.
Oh, I don't know.
What can you be?
Yeah.
What can you be? That's...
Do you want to be rude, dismissive and lazy? Is that allowed?
Well, it is in some jobs.
Maybe.
Well, no, but it sounds like even the person who's come up with those themselves are showing their prejudice.
Yeah.
Because... my daughters are confident. What's the other one? Driven.
Driven, honest.
Yeah. They're working hard. They're driving. So why is that got a masculine or feminine connotation?
And why is it a negative connotation? That's the thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing. This story doesn't say what words you can describe in a job description, or you are allowed to, request people to be. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well, I would want the word I would use towards potholes. I couldn't really repeat here today, but I do have to say I spent a lot of the weekend on motorways and looking at the filth that people throw from their cars on any area you slow up on a motorway. And no one cleans it. They sort of think, well, it's on the motorway, it doesn't really matter. The amount of plastic bottles and cartons and all sorts of awfulness. But anyway, potholes, they're billions and billions of pounds that are a problem. I can't see them ever getting any better.
So the headline, who let the hogs out? So I want you, who let the hogs out? Come on, guys! Don't let me down. Come on, Dawn. Don't let me down. Come on, come. Who let the hogs out? Well, OK, the Express have been very, very funny, so I thought I'd do a little riff on it. So I think they're hamming it up, the Express, because this guy is sick of it. They're hogging the garden. Some swine let them out, the fella said, and I'm not telling porkies. So anyway, the story is about a group of porkies, pigs, that have come out and ruined Colin Williams' garden. They escaped from somebody else's garden, and they are wrecking this. I mean, I've seen Badgers do it in my garden. It's absolutely awful when they rip up your lawn trying to get into the grubs.
Yeah.
It's absolutely awful.
One of my favourite quotes in the papers today was a villager who compared the aftermath of the pigs being let loose on this lawn to the Battle of the Somme. Because apparently it was in such a state.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Where are the pigs coming from?
Well, so there's another chap who's got 1,000 pigs.
Oh.
I think he's got 1,000 pigs.
Yeah, at his farm at the edge of the village.
Yeah, exactly. And some swine, has let them out and have gone to this poor chap's garden and absolutely ripped it to shreds.
Now, an interesting
shredded
thing.
pork.
I'm on Instagram. I get sent these videos all the time about various animals, particularly pigs, and you see how loving
they are. Very nice.
Oh no!
They're really loving.
No, you don't go there.
I mean, all we see them as a bacon sandwich.
No.
And you look at these, and they're cuddly, and they're friendly, and they're intelligent.
Very intelligent, yeah.
Very, very intelligent.
Very intelligent. More intelligent
It's made me feel
but they're clearly
really
very
bad.
messy.
But no, if you look at, you're absolutely spot on. So I've got a friend who's vegan and she's been trying for yonks to try to convert me to that sort of side of town. And when she sends you some of those, they're like your dog. A little piglet, it's like a dog. It'll come, it'll cuddle, and little tails going. And you think, when you begin to associate that sentient, vibrant, loving, connected animal, you think...
Some people keep them as pets. Didn't George Clooney have a pig?
Yeah,
little micro pigs.
Yeah.
Pigs
Pig.
grow into big pigs, that's the problem.
I said when I was married, I used to threaten my missus with that I'm going to get some pot billy pigs. She said, yeah, OK, if they go, I'm out, mate.
Did you get the pigs in the end?
No, I like my creature comforts.
I'd love some pigs in the garden. You should get some pigs in the garden.
Well, if I had a garden, I would.
Yeah,
I don't have a garden.
Yeah, I've got a balcony.
Micro pig, maybe.
No good in the balcony.
Micro pigs, OK. Very good, guys. Thank you both very much indeed for that brief look through what's there in the papers. We'll do it again in about 45 minutes' time.
Now, yesterday was the most perfect winter day.
Lovely.
It was sunny, it was crisp, but it was cold as well. So we're hoping for a bit more of the same today, please. Catherine Chalk, who's got all of the details on today's weather this Monday morning.
Despite the morning rain, it'll be a nice, warm, cosy day ahead. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Looking ahead, it's going to be turning wet and windy in the northwest, drier in the southeast, but turning colder as we see higher pressure building. So it's been a cold start across the southeast, but a bright start here. Across much of England and Wales, though, it is going to be a largely dry day through Monday. There'll be a few showers, maybe across the Midlands and the southeast of England, but across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, increasingly unsettled, wet and windy with heavy spells of rain, but mild here, temperatures coming up at around 10 or 11 degrees. So through the rest of Monday evening then, that band of rain will continue to slowly edge its way in from the west, affecting much of Scotland during rush hour. So do take care if you are out and about. There'll be some strong winds and perhaps some surface water flooding. Across Northern Ireland, a cloudy picture here with outbreaks of rain just edging in later on in the evening. Across much of England and Wales, though, holding on to generally cloudy skies and staying largely dry. So as we go through the rest of Monday evening and overnight, heavy spells of rain persisting across Northern Ireland and much of Scotland, slowly sinking its way south and eastwards and accompanied by some very strong winds. Towards the south of that, though, largely dry across much of England and Wales, and temperatures for all of us staying up above freezing. So a frost-free start to Tuesday. But a damp start, especially across northern parts of England and then into Wales, with this band of rain slowly trying to sink its way south and eastwards. Ahead of that, often dry and cloudy across much of south and eastern England, but behind across Northern Ireland and Scotland, sunny spells, frequent showers turning colder here. Some of the showers could turn a little bit wintry over the hills towards the south, highs of 10 or 11 degrees. Bye-bye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel. Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In Perth and Kinross, the A989 remains closed along Tay Street in Perth because of flooding. In Glasgow, the A77 Pollock Shores Road is closed for repairs to a burst water main. In South Yorkshire, the A630 is closed along Traffic Way off the A19 Markets roundabout in Doncaster for an investigation. In Gloucestershire, the A466 remains closed at Llandogo after the storms. On the M1 in Bedfordshire, the inside lane's closed southbound when someone's broken down just before junction 10 at Luton Airport, and it's sloped from junction 11 at Dunstable. Trains aren't running between Watford Junction and St Albans Abbey because of a shortage of staff. In London, the A212 is closed along Perry Hill in Forest Hill after an accident. In Kent, the A227 is closed along Gravesend Road northwest of Rootham for an investigation. And on the M3 in Hampshire, 2 out of 3 lanes are closed northbound after an accident between junctions 5 and 4A from Hook to Farnborough, causing delays. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
We're giving you not one, but 2 chances to win this month, with 2 prize bundles that include an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash. But that's not all. You'll also get a brand new iPhone 16 and a £500 shopping voucher to spend at your favourite store. So why not be extra lucky this month? For a chance to win an iPhone, vouchers and £10,000 in cash, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB11 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 7th of March. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. US President Donald Trump could spare the UK from tariffs as he targets the European Union.
UK is out of line, but I'm sure I think that one can be worked out.
Well, meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer is set to meet EU leaders in Brussels as he's warned to keep the bloc at a distance to maintain that special relationship with the Trump administration. President Macron is also expected to tell the Prime Minister that Brexit has failed. Changes to how we grade our schools. New Ofsted inspection proposals are branded worse than the system currently in place. One of the biggest nights in music as stars hit the red carpet in Los Angeles for the Grammy Awards.
Yes, it was a big night for the likes of Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar. Not so good for the Brits, but most of the talking points came from the red carpet.
Eco-anxiety is rife among children, with nearly 80% found to have a chronic fear of environmental doom. We're asking this morning, is it time to be more concerned about the climate? And we'll be hearing about a community getting behind a young boy who is battling a rare form of cancer.
And in the sport this morning, Arsenal thrash Manchester City 5-1 at the Emirates as 18-year-old Miles Lewis-Skelly does his Erling Haaland celebration, which went down very well with Erling, as you can imagine. The transfer window closes at 11 p.m. tonight with Marcus Rashford getting away from Manchester United to Aston Villa on loan for the rest of the season. And how would you feel if you conceded a last-minute goal to a team that had 12 players on the pitch instead of 11? Well, it happened in Holland, and Robin van Persie is livid.
There'll be a northwest-southeast split developing through Monday and then higher pressure building midweek. I'll have all the details coming up shortly.
Breakfast with Eamonn and Ellie, and you are looking at a picture of Kanye West and his wife Bianca who is wearing, well, nothing on the red carpet in the Grammys in Los Angeles last night, and it is everywhere. Social media is ablaze with these pictures. What do you make of it, Paul Coit?
I think she looks absolutely magnificent, although I can't really see whether she looks magnificent or not. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, well,
very bizarre. Why? I mean, really?
They have blurred that isn't her dress.
Oh, is that? OK, fine.
That is,
I think it looks very nice, actually.
Yeah.
Very
Alex
square
Davis,
dress.
our entertainment reporter, is here with us. Alex, what was going on? You watched it live for us, didn't you?
I did, yes. I've been well and truly awake for the past few hours watching it. Well, there was a few odd outfits on the red carpet. Jade and Will Smith's son and daughter arrived with some rather bizarre ensembles. Jaden wearing a church model on his head, and you thought things couldn't get any weird. And then Bianca Censori stepped out in a fur jacket, removed the fur jacket, and revealed nothing underneath, pretty much.
Oh, wow, unbelievable. And Kanye was there in a black T-shirt and jeans.
Yes, and sunglasses.
So he hadn't made any sort of effort.
No, he smirked to the cameras as he walked away, but the rumours are that they weren't actually allowed into the ceremony. We're still waiting to try and see if somebody will clarify. But Kanye was up for 2 awards. Bianca obviously wasn't up for any, but she was just there as his, shall we say, eye candy, to say the least. But yeah, we're still waiting to see whether or not they were kicked out of the ceremony.
But we're not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if she was, because that would be indecent exposure, wouldn't it? And I'm not sure, actually, how happy she was to be naked on the red carpet. She didn't look better.
Well, you know what? You're not... I mean... It's like the biggest nightmare, isn't it? It's like those nightmares you have of being naked in a public place.
Yeah, like
that one, is it like the ultimate going to the Grammys and standing there and it's like she took the coat off and then turns round in front of every member of the press and it's like...
It's more like Kanye's dream rather than a nightmare.
Do you think it is?
I think he sort of pulled the strings on that one. She could have done with a few strings to cover up, to be honest.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
All right, Alex, well, we'll get all of the drama from you, I'm sure, in the next few minutes. Thank you very much.
On the news front this morning, top story, could Britain be spared President Trump's tariff, which he's throwing around everywhere, China, Mexico and Canada? Well, speaking overnight, he says the UK is out of line, but admits something could be worked out.
Will definitely happen with the European Union, I can tell you that, because they've really taken advantage of us. And, you know, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products. They take almost nothing. And we take everything from them. Millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm product. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see the UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I'm sure that one, I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union it's an atrocity.
No.
Well, meanwhile, in response, the EU has put President Trump on notice, vowing to hit back against what it calls hurtful tariffs. Well, the threat comes ahead of Sir Keir Starmer's trip to Brussels later today, where he'll be warned to keep the EU at arm's length for the sake of the UK's special relationship with the US.
Well, let's get the thoughts now of political commentator Theo Usherwood, who joins us in the studio. Well, this is what politics is all about, the art of negotiation.
It is, and you heard Donald Trump there, didn't you? I mean, he was unequivocal that he thinks that, you know, that the UK needs to be very careful about getting too close to the European Union. There's a real danger that Keir Starmer falls between the stools of the EU on one hand, and of course the US on the other hand. And the problem is that if he goes too close to the European Union, Donald Trump is going to reject him, and if he goes too close to the United States, of course the European Union is going to turn their back. And the problem for Keir Starmer is that he thinks that he can sort of ride both horses, and I don't think he can.
And the timing in particular, Theo, I mean, we're talking about those tariffs, 25% on Canada and Mexico, coming into play today, and that's the day where Keir Starmer decides to go for a dinner with the EU.
Yeah, and the rhetoric and the mood music coming out of the European Union is not particularly warm either, because they're turning around and saying, well, you need to, Macron's going to turn around and say you need to eat humble pie on Brexit and recognise that it was a mistake. Nobody really knows what this reset unit within Whitehall actually wants. Keir Starmer says that he wants a closer relationship, but he doesn't want free movement of people. There's going to have to be some compromise, but it would be politically toxic for the Prime Minister to go down the route of a youth mobility scheme if, of course, it adds to immigration numbers, net migration numbers. So Keir Starmer, he may well make the mistake, but there is some validity to the point that if he goes too close to the European Union, Trump goes, well, you're just part of the EU. You stick with the EU, and you heard what he described.
Look, wait a minute. If I was running the UK, I would be looking at Trump or Canada or Mexico, whatever, and I'm thinking, who's running this country, me or you? And Trump seems to think that he can tell everybody else what to do around the world. What if everybody else around the world decided to gang up on Trump?
Well, I think we already saw when he did the deportations that he is going to be a bully. And Eamonn, to your point, he has been successful so far as being the bully. You know, we saw what happened with it was Colombia, right? And they turned around and said, well, we're not going to accept these planes. And he said, right, tariffs. And within 4 hours, the Colombian president was volunteering to send the plane over to collect the illegal migrants that Trump wanted to deport. And Trump's saying, OK, tariffs on Canadian goods. But the Canadians, for their part, have just been on social media, and I'm looking at some of the shops, the pictures of the shops. All they've resorted to doing is removing American liquor from the shelves and putting up a sign saying buy Canadian. I mean, it's not exactly a huge, punch in the guts for the American president. I mean, he knows he can be the bully. He's prepared to be the bully. He's got an America First agenda where he is trying to support, and let's not lose sight of this. These tariffs are designed to support American companies selling American products in America and to make those products more competitive rather than allowing cheap imports into America, which are then undercutting American produce. That's why he's doing this. And he had a mandate from the presidential election in the beginning of November to do it, and he's going to continue.
And he's unapologetic in doing so, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Theo, good to see you. Thank you very much. Well, that brings us to our poll of the day. Today we're asking, does Britain risk being dragged into a US trade tariffs war if we get too close to the EU?
OK, would you risk it for a biscuit? Do you think it is worth getting closer to the EU and maybe alienating the United States? In other words, Trump pulls the strings. Should he be allowed to do so? We'll have the final update this afternoon with Martin Dobney, and we'll try and reflect something before 9 o'clock as to how you are voting.
Yeah, if you want to get involved, go to gbnews.com/poll. Now, at 7:10, it's time for your weather with Catherine Chalk.
A chilly start will give way to a lovely, warm afternoon. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Looking ahead, it's going to be turning wet and windy in the northwest, drier in the southeast, but turning colder as we see higher pressure building. So it's been a cold start across the southeast, but a bright start here. Across much of England and Wales, though, it is going to be a largely dry day through Monday. There'll be a few showers, maybe across the Midlands and the southeast of England, but across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, increasingly unsettled, wet and windy with heavy spells of rain, but mild here, temperatures coming up at around 10 or 11 degrees. So through the rest of Monday evening then, that band of rain will continue to slowly edge its way in from the west, affecting much of Scotland during rush hour. So do take care if you are out and about. There'll be some strong winds and perhaps some surface water flooding. Across Northern Ireland, a cloudy picture here with outbreaks of rain just edging in later on in the evening. Across much of England and Wales, though, holding on to generally cloudy skies and staying largely dry. So as we go through the rest of Monday evening and overnight, heavy spells of rain persisting across Northern Ireland and much of Scotland, slowly sinking its way south and eastwards and accompanied by some very strong winds. Towards the south of that, though, largely dry across much of England and Wales, and temperatures for all of us staying up above freezing. So a frost-free start to Tuesday. But a damp start, especially across northern parts of England and then into Wales, with this band of rain slowly trying to sink its way south and eastwards. Ahead of that, often dry and cloudy across much of south and eastern England, but behind across Northern Ireland and Scotland, sunny spells, frequent showers, turning colder here. Some of the showers could turn a little bit wintry over the hills towards the south, highs of 10 or 11 degrees. Bye-bye.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You're not.
Now, we're giving you 2 chances to win in our latest great British giveaway.
Give me
Not
that
one,
again, 2.
not one, but 2. Yes, 2 amazing prize bundles.
And they are what?
Well, each bundle contains a brand new iPhone, £500 to spend in your favourite store, and, because it doesn't end there, £10,000 in tax-free cash.
That'll do me, but I can't enter. You can, though. Have a go.
Want to be one of 2 lucky Great British Giveaway winners? That's right, you could win one of 2 prize bundles, which includes a brand new iPhone 16, £500 in shopping vouchers to spend in your favourite store, and an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. What would you spend that cash on? For a chance to win an iPhone, vouchers and £10,000 in cash, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text.
Now, the education regulatory body, Ofsted, has launched a new colour-coded system. It's part of a multi-million-pound revamp to make school ratings system fairer.
Well, it will replace one-word judgments that were dropped following the death of head teacher.
So you no longer can say good or excellent
or
or
outstanding
poor or whatever.
Special measures.
The Education Secretary insists the changes will raise the bar on what to expect at schools, but critics say rushed and botched amendments will only make matters worse.
Well, with us now to discuss this is former Ofsted Inspector Chris McGovern. Good to see you this morning, Chris. And what do you make of these new report cards, as they're being called, for school inspections?
Like going to the supermarket, isn't it, where you see those barcodes, different colours. But actually, the campaign for real education has always supported inspections. We think that they're there for children, after all, and we do need accountability. And sometimes we forget that these inspectors who go into schools, they're not demons, they're just teachers themselves. Most of them are ex-senior staff and so forth. And on the whole, they do a very good job. And also, if there's a criticism of Ofsted, is that they're too generous. And I know we've had this terribly tragic incident of a head teacher taking her own life, but, you know, the old truism is that hard cases make bad laws. I don't think we should be changing too much. I agree to some extent. The new system is a bit complicated. If I had my way, what we would do is look at the different areas of a school's life, and think there are 9 at the moment, and we would give a mark out of 10, and then transfer that into an overall percentage. So you'd have not good, bad, or excellent, or whatever. You'd have a percentage. That's what I would do. But I think we definitely need inspections. We do need accountability. They're there for the children. And Ofsted inspectors are just ordinary people. Sometimes they get it wrong, but they're trying to do a good job. So I would support my colleagues in this one.
So, Chris, you say they're there for the children. What do you mean the grading system's there for the children? I mean, I'm more likely to think that they're there for the parents, because parents could look and they can say green means very good, red means very bad.
Well, the parents are there for the children. Look, effectively, we want to help them. What's the best for the children? Is it best to have some accountability? And of course it is. And parents have to choose the school. And of course, they're acting on behalf of their children. So in that sense, it's for the children. I think sometimes the profession, my profession, I'm not some sort of raving right-winger. I sat on the TUC, but, you know, we have to put the interests of the children first. And the unions, in my views, too often don't want Ofsted. They don't want accountability. This one is they know that we don't want any inspection. Well, that's complacency. And although we have the previous governments saying that they massively raised standards, that I think is a bit of a myth. They didn't massively raise standards. They raised standards a little bit, and internationally they were still about 3 or 4 years behind. Those economic powerhouses in the Far East, Singapore, parts of China, Japan, and so forth, were falling behind. We can't be complacent about this. So what's happened here, we have a new system. I think personally it's probably overcomplicated. Simplify it to a simple percentage, but that could be constructed from different areas of inspection. But we are moving in the right direction. We have to stick with inspection. I was advising John Major back in the 90s when we introduced this system of Ofsted.
Yeah.
And I supported it then, I support it now.
And I don't see why it should be sort of penalty-driven. I mean, I would look at something like this and think, it's like parking. I think it's useless giving people parking tickets around towns. We should have parking facilitators. We should have people sitting saying, Mr. McGovern, I can give you 15 minutes over here. You can park your car here. We'll sort that out for you or whatever. I think that with the schools, that you can be saying, PE department's not very good. What can we do to raise that department and get that in line? Or the chemistry department's not very good, or whatever. But not all the school can be rubbish, and if it is rubbish, it deserves what it gets, I suppose. But why do we have to be in there marking? Why do the inspectors have to be like teachers marking homework for pupils on this?
Look, it's quite a complicated issue. And the fact is, if you go back 25, 30 years, when we had inspections, but they happened about once every 20, 25 years under what was called the old HMI. The system wasn't working. We do need to have these inspections. And look, the problem is that it's going to always, I think, annoy and upset and irritate failing schools. We have to remember, Eamonn, that 90%, if there's a problem with Ofsted, it is too generous. 90% of schools are rated good or outstanding. So in other words, Ofsted are not a hard body. They're coming in very softly, very generously, and they're actually overstating how good our schools are. We need to have this inspection. We need to toughen it up, not to make it somehow easier. And of course, it's a complicated picture, which is why, in the end, a cumulative figure, and I say a percentage, is probably the best way forward.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, Chris, and it's always lovely talking to you, because I look and I think I'd like to have been at his school. He's full of encouragement.
You like all those books as well?
Yeah, and he's enthusiastic about things. And I always think, Chris, you look at a way and you look at a reasonable way of doing things. And I think that can be the way that school is there to get the best out of our children, to get the best out of our teachers. We are blessed to have a lot of the schools that we have, and teachers, people who want to give their lives to improving the lives of youngsters. And when we all look at our own lives, we will have had teachers that we're thankful to, or that have made a big impact in what we do. Yeah. And it's just such a pity that this is seen again as some sort of test everybody has to pass.
Well, Chris, we're out of time with you, I'm afraid, but thank you so much for joining us, and really good to get your perspective on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the Chief Inspector of Ofsted, Sir Martin Oliver, has said the new report card will give parents a clearer picture while helping schools focus on meaningful improvements. We'll make sure that we deliver for parents regardless of what we do. Our mission is to improve education for all children, particularly the most disadvantaged.
Let us know your thoughts, your views and your comments, and your school experiences when you were growing up. Still to come, who were the winners at the Grammys? The record business was handing out its awards last night, and there were some shocks on the red carpet. We'll show you what we can after this.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, here we are, awards season, Grammys, 67th year of those. They took place in Los Angeles last night.
Yes, and there is never a dull moment, is there? Beyoncé won Best Country Album, and the Beatles picked up a win for their AI track.
And let's not forget the best and worst dressed. Definitely the best dressed for me, a woman wearing no clothes.
Worst dressed.
Yeah, she looked absolutely stunning and beautiful, but was it pornographic, Ellie? That's the thing.
I would say so, yeah. She walked naked down the red carpet and she didn't even look very happy about it. So, lots of controversy about that.
And even, what's his name?
Kanye West.
Yeah, was he happy about it? He doesn't look too happy.
Look very happy.
But a lot of people would say he's quite controlling and maybe he made that happen. And
well, with his ex-wife, Kim Kardashian, he was in charge of her wardrobe. So some suggestion that he was in charge of Bianca's outfit, or lack thereof, last night.
Oh.
Perhaps. But there was a focus last night on supporting relief efforts for the Los Angeles wildfires. Millions of dollars was raised.
Alex Davis joins us now. He's GB News digital entertainment editor.
Yes.
Well, sum up the controversies for us.
Well, the controversies, there was plenty of, like you just said there about the red carpet, plenty of controversies on the red carpet. There was a few controversies when it came to the awards actually being given out. We touched upon Beyoncé winning the Best Country Album earlier and whatnot. There was a few barbed comments towards the newly elected President Trump from the host Trevor Noah, as soon as the...
Will he be imprisoned for that?
I doubt it. I don't think so. But you never know.
You never know. They'll slap a tariff on him.
Well, he's a South African comic, and he made a joke very soon into his opening monologue that if he were to perhaps not be so favourable towards Trump, he could be deported himself.
OK.
There was plenty of jokes of that sort of ilk. Quite a good shot of, I forget her name now, one of the rappers rolling her eyes at him as he made one of these jokes, just to show that maybe that sort of sentiment is wearing thin, even in the glitzy awards scene. But then it wasn't just Trevor Noah who came up with those sort of jokes. Alicia Keys, Lady Gaga, Shakira, all of these big names made quite big stands against policies that Trump has rolled out of late. Alicia Keys came out and...
Do you know what? I don't care. Just tell me who won what. Where's the music?
Is that what you want to know?
But you see, that's what I would sit and I would look and I'd think, I don't really care what all these people think, but I just want to know who won what.
Well, for the first sort of 2 hours of the ceremony, it was very much that. There was an effort towards highlighting the efforts to you know, raise money for those affected by the fires. But as it tailed off towards the end, then you started to get a bit more of the...
Has they got more to drink?
Potentially, yes. Yeah.
You can't escape politics at these things.
You can't.
Which is a lot of celebrities would much rather you did.
You can't, yeah, it was nice to see that the biggest standing ovation went to members of the LA Fire Department at the end of the night. They presented the award to Beyonce for the best album of the year. But like I say, Alicia Keys came out and she made a big speech about how diversity inclusion schemes need to be implemented more. I think we've got a clip of that to load up now. And she wasn't alone. Chapel Roan did a big speech as well, calling for better living wages for young artists and better protection from the labels. Again, quite a big standing ovation from, unsurprisingly, fellow artists. But she also caused a bit of a stir on the red carpet as well, stepping out in a typically Chapel Roan-esque ensemble, very eye-catching. It was a 2003 Jean Paul Gaultier ball gown. Caught the eye. Her hat fell off when she took to the stage.
But who was the big winner of the night?
The big winner was definitely Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar. Your two new favourite artists to listen to. Beyonce, because she won the Best Country Album with Cowboy Carter and then won Best Album overall. Kendrick Lamar won Best...
What? Later on in the programme. Alex, really appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed. And we'll be back right after this short break. Don't go away.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In Glasgow, the A77 Pollokshaws Road is closed for repairs to a burst water main. In South Yorkshire, the A630 is closed each way along Trafford Way off the A19 in Doncaster for an investigation. On the M6 in Lancashire, 3 lanes are closed northbound after an accident between junctions 31 and 32 from Salisbury to the M55, causing delays. In the West Midlands, the A41 is blocked by an accident on Tenhall Road in Wolverhampton. In Shropshire, the A458 is partly blocked by an accident on Stourbridge Road in Bridgnorth. In Gloucestershire, the A466 remains closed at Llandogo after the storms. On the M1 in Bedfordshire, there's a lane closed southbound just before junction 10 at Luton Airport after an accident, with delays in patches from junction 11A north of Dunstable. On the M4 in Newport, 2 out of 3 lanes are closed eastbound just after junction 25 at Caerleon after an accident. On the M3 in Hampshire, 2 lanes blocked northbound by an accident just before the Fleet services.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Headliners on GB News 11 PM every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point.
He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 PM and 5 AM as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 PM on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation. You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 7:32. We're crossing live now to Westminster to talk to the Shadow Paymaster General, Richard Holden. Good to see you this morning, Mr. Holden. And can I start by asking you about this letter that you have posted on X, which is addressed to Sir Keir Starmer about a voice coach that he used during lockdown? Just tell us about that letter.
So this comes from an article in the Sunday Times, which is about a book that's been written by two journalists about Keir Starmer and his path to Downing Street. And in it there's this unusual revelation in which on the 24th of December in 2020, so when lockdown was really at its height, when London was in Tier 4, which said that people should not go to work unless they absolutely had to, and they were a key worker specifically. And also that people could only meet in bubbles outside for social reasons. And he's been very, very critical, obviously. People will know of the way he responded to Boris Johnson and others during that period. It now appears that he had a voice coach into Labour HQ on Christmas Eve that year. So it's really reignited that entire question. And the real issue behind this is that Keir Starmer really did go out there demanding that everybody was held to the highest possible account at every stage. And now it looks like there are big questions for him to answer, which is why we want an independent investigator to be appointed. And I also want to know what does the Prime Minister thinks about whether this is a breach of the rules itself.
I'm interested to hear what you think. Couldn't you regard, or why wouldn't you regard, a voice coach for the newly elected Prime Minister as an essential worker?
Yeah, no, perfectly fair question. I just don't think that essentially what that is acting classes were essential. We didn't either as a country, because we basically stopped those in-person university courses across the piece as well. And it's also quite clear that at the time that the Labour Party didn't think so, because they also had virtual meetings with her and things like that. They are mentioned in this book as well. So there's a real question over, no, it's not really what I interpreted it as, but what Labour interpreted it as at the time. And it's quite odd, some of the phrasing in this book from some of those senior Labour officials who were involved at the time, saying, well, we considered her to be a key worker, or Keir thought she was a key worker for him. I mean, we all know that Sir Keir's got that very strange nasal sort of adenoidal issue with his voice, so he might have considered it very important. Whether or not the country did when they were all locked down, I think is the question at the heart of the matter here.
It's a question I'd like to put out to our listeners and viewers today as well. How essential do you think it would have been for the Prime Minister to have had voice coaching and acting lessons about how to project himself during COVID? He wasn't Prime Minister then. No, he wasn't Prime Minister then.
The opposition then. gbnews.com/yours say, let us know what you think. Mr. Holden, do you think this is a good use of your time and resources as a member of the opposition to be harping back to 5 years ago and looking at what Sir Keir Starmer was doing with his voice coach? Because we've got pensioners without their winter fuel payments, we've got farmers who are on the breadline, we've got the threat of tariffs from Trump, we've got a stuttering economy. Is this really where you should be focusing your energies right now?
But you had a stuttering leader of the opposition then as well. He was stuttering too. That was the problem.
These are perfectly fair questions. Look, I think we can do more than one thing at once. We're out there every day challenging the government on its plans for them at the moment. Mel Stride's out talking about the economy every day. Kemi's out there really pushing forwards the case for change. I think on the other side, though, it's really important that the Prime Minister, who when he was leader of the opposition, this was something he absolutely hammered everybody on. You know, he had that holier than thou approach to all of these issues. I think he needs to be held to account. He's the one who has said, you know, this was a major issue. He would resign as leader of the Labour Party if he was found to have broken COVID rules. Well, let's have that proper investigation. He should be calling for it himself. He should be referring himself, just like Boris Johnson did with Sue Gray. And I think it's important that that we actually know what happened and when it happened.
All right, Mr. Holden, we're almost out of time with you. Just did want to ask you about how concerned you are about tariffs from President Trump. He said that they will definitely happen with the European Union. Peculiar timing, I'm sure you're going to say that Sir Keir Starmer is going for dinner at an EU summit tonight in Brussels with the threat of tariffs looming over his head.
Look, I am very concerned about this, especially given what the budget with Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer have done to our economy already. We've seen unemployment, really that thing which actually over the last few years we've really got under control. We've seen that, real worries about the jobs market there, with employers cutting jobs all over the place at the moment, vacancy rates falling across the country. The last thing we want to see is tariffs, and this isn't. I really do worry about Keir Starmer on this, because he's always wanted to be as close to the European Union as possible. We always remember he wanted that second referendum, and what I want to see is British workers put first and protected, and our economy thrive. And it's quite clear with the decisions they've already taken, whether it's on family farms, on the jobs tax, on so many other issues, that they're not going to put our economy and our jobs first, and I really worry about this as well.
Okay. Mr. Holden, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Mr. Coit, with your time now, goodness me, what a mix-up of football results yesterday.
Yes.
I never thought I'd see the day Man City would be hammered 5-1. Man United, usual, 2-0 down against Crystal Palace at home. A good away win for your team, Tottenham.
Spurs, they did.
Thank goodness.
Exactly, but I've also got some good news for you, because I was at the Spurs Stadium last night for Manchester United women, who beat Spurs 1-0. So there's something there. So United did get a win yesterday. And by the way, how now, brown cow? I've just been doing, that's what my voice coach said to me.
Yes.
It started off, how now, brown cow, and now it's how now, brown cow.
But it's interesting, you see, I would say, hi now.
Hi now, Brian Kai.
Yes,
He's
that's
got
what I
very
would
good
say.
Northern Irish accent.
Hi now, Brian Kai.
Yeah.
OK, I got you.
And we're both wrong.
Well, transfer deadline day, by the way, very quickly, 11 o'clock tonight. It closes. Marcus Rashford has left Manchester United, so it's only on loan. So the thing is, Aston Villa are going to have to pay 75% of his wages, so we're talking 150 grand. There we are. There he is. Does he look happy?
He doesn't.
It's kind of like sneery. I'm not too happy. At least I'm here. But 75% of the wages Aston Villa are going to have to pay, so it's a gamble.
But that means, United are still paying him 100 grand a week.
Well, yeah, 75%, a little bit less than that. But it's a huge amount that Villa are having to pay. But obviously, they're not even. It's not even their player. Marco Asensio. They've also signed a loan from PSG. 16 trophies at Real Madrid. 29-year-old midfielder. But the one that amazed me is John Duran, who I thought is a great striker at Aston Villa, has gone to Al Nasser of Saudi Arabia for 71 million. He's 21 years old.
Yeah, but I'm sure Villa couldn't turn down the money.
Well, that's it. I mean, you can understand Villa. 21 years old. If you're 21, things are going very good for you. Do you go to Saudi Arabia? It says one thing to me: only go for the money. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Would you go for the money?
Well, how much money are we talking?
71 million.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Would you not wait till you let your career bloom and blossom and then wait?
I feel like you can make anything bloom with 71 million.
Do you think so? It's all about the cash.
Yeah, money talks.
It does. Do you want to talk about the Eredivisie quickly? Something that happened in Holland. Robin van Persie's team, Heerenveen, were 2-1 up against Fortuna Sittard with 1 minute left. So, Fortuna then make 2 substitutions.
2.
But that's 2, and only...
One goes
took one off. Only took one off. So there were 12 players that were on the pitch.
But that's the referee's fault.
There we are. It is the referee's fault. So count them. There's 12 on there. So anyway, then they get a corner in the 90th minute. Defender Rodrigo Guth goes up, scores.
Well, the match must be null and void.
2-2. Well, apparently not. Robin van Persie, the legend who played in the Premier League, he's livid about it because he's the manager, and nobody's doing anything about it. And he said, well, surely this has got to be null and void because there were 12 players. And it's like the referee's like, well, I didn't notice. So that's it. So the result is 2-2.
Goodness me.
12 players.
Well, will you notice where the good weather is around? We've got it for you right now.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Well, there's plenty of fine weather around as higher pressure becomes established but unsettled in parts of Greece. So across the Canaries, largely dry on Tuesday. Across Gibraltar, perhaps just seeing some spells of rain or showers. Largely dry across parts of Italy as well with sunshine, but across Greece, we have got an area of low pressure, bringing some showers, perhaps quite heavy at times. But looking ahead across Wednesday and Thursday, plenty of settled weather and feeling pleasant.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Nana Queer, weekends from 3 p.m.
5 years ago now, we developed this campaign called Regifting Beauty. And Regifting Beauty is about giving back to those that are in less fortunate situations than the majority of us. And I was coming across people that were receiving gifts at Christmas. You know how many gifts we receive? Gift sets, items, bath bombs, all of these things that we don't necessarily use. For myself, they sit in the bathroom cupboard all year round. So I was thinking of a way how we can make that better, put that to better purpose. And we developed this campaign 5 years ago called Regifting Beauty. And it's where people can donate unwanted toiletries, sanitary items, skincare, perfumes, and we work with different charities around the country and they will re-gift them to survivors of domestic abuse. And for years now, it's only really been focused around women. There hasn't really been a male focus. So Ben and I were having conversations and we were thinking, well, and I was getting comments throughout the years of doing it, saying, why are men excluded from this? Surely it should be applicable to men too. I mean, in the UK, over 700,000 men are suffering with domestic abuse on an annual basis. And a lot of that goes unreported. And there's over 2 million people in the UK that do suffer from some form of domestic abuse, be it physical or psychological, and it's an important topic that we should be discussing. So this campaign is about providing something that may seem trivial, but it restores some level of dignity, and I think that's so important when survivors are just trying to regain aspects of their life. Something so small that maybe sitting in your bathroom cupboard that you're not using could go to such better use. So this year we're launching the Regifting Beauty, the Turnaround Edition, about turning around moments in life and allowing people to have those turnaround moments, which also plays on Ben's, song, Turnaround.
Gotta turn
it fits in nicely with that.
Which I'll be on with you.
for the remix,
it's all fitting in nicely, isn't it?
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Queer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Let's get a romp through the newspapers. We've got Dawn and we've got Chris, and they've got the stories in front of them. And Chris, we were going to talk about this last time, and potholes, and they are a big problem. And I noticed yesterday on, like the M62, for instance, was really, really bad. The inside lane, and I thought, it's not often you see a motorway which is plagued with potholes. And there it is, and no one's doing anything about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, so in the countryside, you get potholes where little curves are happening.
Look, I'm talking about motorways, mate,
yeah,
and roads and all sorts of roads.
100%. I was exactly the same, just coming into central London. Boom! Fell into this pothole. Very dangerous. You can...
Yeah.
Pull into the other side of the traffic to try to avoid them. So King's College London have been experimenting with testing out some oil, plant spores. They release an ounce of oil to integrate them into the asphalt to prevent the oxidation, which is why, like your car, well, old days, your car used to rust. to oxidation, and that is why the integrity of the road service is compromised.
So wait a minute. So what do you say? You're saying it'll not now decompose.
So that's what they're saying. Well, this is all in the lab.
Yeah.
It's not been done in real life. Yeah. So
with your heavy lorries.
But this is the future.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be self-healing roads that that will act against the oxidation. Well, we need this because at the moment councils are not spending the money on the roads because they've got more important things to spend the money on.
Like what?
That's a good question.
Exactly. Just fill the blooming holes in. It can't be that difficult, can it?
Dawn, let's have a look at Sir Keir Starmer, shall we?
Oh, yes, let's.
His closest advisor has called him an HR manager, not a leader.
Yeah,
sounds a bit like Henry Badenoch.
Oh, well, this is, yeah, exactly. This is Morgan McSweeney, who masterminded Labour's election victory. There's a new book out, and McSweeney has been quoted in there as describing, the chief of staff, actually, at the moment, told one friend, evidently, that in the early phase of Starmer's leadership, that Keir acts like an HR manager, not a leader. And he also described Angela Rayner as being too political all the time. You know, the thing is, though, I don't know whether he actually said it or not. It's a book, who knows? But he's got a point.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, don't you think? I mean, when we're talking about this outside, it's like, you know, Keir Starmer's not the front man. He might be the one at the back, you know, crossing the T's and dotting the I's.
Yeah.
But he's not the Mick Jagger.
What do you think
Not
about
the
his
Donald
voice
Trump.
coaching, his lessons?
God, that was...
You can understand why he would, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, whether, you know, the whole lockdown breaking and thing, but did you see it on social media last night? Someone put up a picture of a Dalek, Doctor Who's Dalek, and said, Keir Starmer's voice coach revealed.
Yeah.
And it's just gone mad. Everyone just thinks it's very, very funny. And it's like, you know, I don't know how much you paid that voice coach, but he should be asking for a refund, basically. Didn't work.
But this criticism does have cut-through, doesn't it? I mean, when Henry Badenoch was saying at PMQs a few weeks ago, you're a lawyer, not a leader. I mean, it's one of the first times that's really cut through in the House.
But I think it's been very clear right from the... Even when he was going to try to become the Prime Minister, you could see that he was not a man in control of himself, that he was a man who's articulating something, doesn't necessarily believe, but understands that this is what he needs to say or not say in order to get the top position in a political landscape. And now, this guy, McSweeney, is he still the Chief of Staff?
Yes, he is. You know,
So he took over from Sue Gray, did he?
He did.
Yeah, OK. So, you know, I mean, I don't think Starmer will be happy with what he's had to say, but I think he's revealed quite a lot there, that actually... He is not the gaffer. He is the adjutant. He's the adjutant. So in military terms, he's the adjutant. He's strict. He pulls the punches. But actually, the CEO, the colonel, is somebody else. Who could that be?
It, though?
Who could that be?
Do you know? I was just thinking there.
Dangerous.
Yeah, it is dangerous. I was sitting in a hotel reception Saturday morning. And it was a very small reception, so it was. I was just sitting there, it was quite quiet, it was very quiet, there was nobody there. And the doors opened, and in walked in Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh, wow.
Just, oh, wow.
Love Kiefer Sutherland.
He is super. I've interviewed him, and I thought he was amazing. Now, it would have been nice to say, hiya, Kiefer, Eamonn here, but I thought he'll not remember me. He'll not remember me. But he was busy coming in, and he was carrying a big guitar, and he was filming a Christmas movie in Yorkshire somewhere. But he talks to everybody, whatever, and he said hello, good morning. But he's a midget. He's very, very small. He is very, very small. Yes, but all actors are. Tom Cruise is, Mel Gibson is.
But he was in The Lost Boys. Come on, one of the best films ever.
Yeah. And then, no sooner had Kiefer walked past me, and I'm going, is Kiefer Sutherland? Hello, morning. And he went into the lift, and that was it. And then Nicky Byrne comes through the door. Nicky Byrne's from Westlife, so he is.
Oh, wow,
Yeah, and he used to play for Leeds. He used to be a goalkeeper for Leeds. Oh. And then he came in, and I said, Nicky, I never guessed he was here. It was Kiefer Sutherland. I just sat there, and it was... And then somebody from Strictly...
Like a revolving door.
Like a revolving door.
Where is this hotel?
Well, it's private. It's for celebs. I can't really...
That'll explain it, then.
But there were these idiots outside the door who were taking pictures. Not of Kiefer Sutherland and Nicky Byrne, but of me, right?
Paparazzi action, or what do you mean?
Yeah, and my driver stood in front of them and they kicked him. They kicked him so they did.
That's really bad.
Yeah, it was really bad, yeah.
You didn't tell me this.
So, I
It's all coming out now.
It happened to me to a bath present. I went to the bath present, and coming down the stairs, I go, "Oh, hello, mate. How are you?" I thought I knew this guy. He looked to be a little bit dodgy like that. Okay. Walked past him. And then I turned around, it was Nicolas Cage.
Wow.
Yeah, and you thought you knew him.
I thought I knew him.
Yeah.
I did exactly the same with Russell Crowe. Right? So I was coming out of a building, and out the back, there was this guy smoking there. And I said, "How are you? How you doing?" I thought, I know him, and I sat down beside him at this table. And he went, "Yeah, man, how are you?" Whatever. And then I realised,
nice.
I don't know him at all, actually. It's Russell Crowe. And then I sort of explained who it was. And do you know what he did? I got into my car and went home, and he contacted me on Instagram. And he followed me.
Did he?
Oh, really?
That's a great story.
Who was it then?
Russell Crowe.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, and he was
he was
wow.
impressed.
Do you have anybody famous following you at all?
Well, you.
That's infamous.
But it happens to the best of us. It happened to me the other day. There's a comedian called Joanne McNally, and she's from Dublin, but she's got the South Side Dublin accent.
Yeah.
So that's really, recognisable. You'd know her from a mile off. And she was in the same restaurant as me, and I heard her on the phone. I went, "Joanne!" Like she's my friend, and I whacked her. And then I went in my head, I was like, "Oh, wait, she doesn't know you?" And I just hit her when she's on the phone. I was like, "Oh, sorry, Joanne." And she didn't follow me on Instagram after that. Unfortunately.
Guys, thank you. We'll have more tales of who we've met over the weekend coming up.
Yeah, you've got loads of stories from your weekend away.
Coming up shortly. Dawn and Chris, thank you both very much indeed for the moment. They're going to be back in about 45 minutes' time.
So, did you have a nice weekend up north? The people are very friendly.
The weather was beautiful. Yeah, it was lovely. It was really, really nice, yeah.
Good. And the people are nice as well.
People are lovely.
They actually talk to you, apart from being in London. Now, yesterday was a beautiful sunny day, wasn't it? The perfect winter's day, as we were saying.
Yeah.
Cold, crisp, but bright. Let's hope for more of the same today with Catherine George. She's got all the details for us.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Looking ahead, it's going to be turning wet and windy in the northwest, drier in the southeast, but turning colder as we see higher pressure building. So it's been a cold start across the southeast, but a bright start here. Across much of England and Wales, though, it is going to be a largely dry day through Monday. There'll be a few showers, maybe across the Midlands and the southeast of England, but across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, increasingly unsettled, wet and windy with heavy spells of rain, but mild here, temperatures coming up at around 10 or 11 degrees. So through the rest of Monday evening then, that band of rain will continue to slowly edge its way in from the west, affecting much of Scotland during rush hour. So do take care if you are out and about. There'll be some strong winds and perhaps some surface water flooding. Across Northern Ireland, a cloudy picture here with outbreaks of rain just edging in later on in the evening. Across much of England and Wales, though, holding on to generally cloudy skies and staying largely dry. So as we go through the rest of Monday evening and overnight, heavy spells of rain persisting across Northern Ireland and much of Scotland, slowly sinking its way south and eastwards and accompanied by some very strong winds. Towards the south of that, though, largely dry across much of England and Wales, and temperatures for all of us staying up above freezing. So a frost-free start to Tuesday. But a damp start, especially across northern parts of England and then into Wales, with this band of rain slowly trying to sink its way south and eastwards. Ahead of that, often dry and cloudy across much of south and eastern England, but behind across Northern Ireland and Scotland, sunny spells, frequent showers turning colder here. Some of the showers could turn a little bit wintry over the hills towards the south, highs of 10 or 11 degrees. Bye-bye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel. Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In Glasgow, the A77 is closed along Pollokshaws Road at Pollokshields for repairs to a burst water main. In South Yorkshire, the A630 is closed along Trafford Way in Doncaster for an investigation. On the M6 in Lancashire, 3 lanes are closed northbound. There's an accident between junctions 31 and 32 from Samlesbury to the M55, causing long delays. On the M1 in Bedfordshire, the inside lane's closed southbound just before junction 10 at Luton Airport after an accident. Long delays towards there from junction 11A for the A5 north of Dunstable. On the M4 in Newport, 2 out of 3 lanes are closed to eastbound between junctions 25 and 24 from Kyaleo to the Cauldre after an accident. Seeing over an hour in queues towards there from junction 29 for the A48M. And on the M3 in Hampshire, 2 lanes are closed northbound after an accident between junctions 5 and 4A from Hook to Farnborough, causing delays. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Want to be one of 2 lucky Great British giveaway winners? That's right, you could win one of 2 prize bundles, which includes a brand new iPhone 16, £500 in shopping vouchers to spend in your favourite store, and an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. What would you spend that cash on? For a chance to win an iPhone, vouchers and £10,000 in cash, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB11 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 7th of March. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, very good morning to you. President Donald Trump could spare Britain from tariffs as he targets the European Union.
UK is out of line, but I'm sure I think that one can be worked out.
Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer is set to meet EU leaders in Brussels as he's warned to keep the bloc at a distance to maintain that special relationship with the Trump administration.
President Macron is also expected to tell the Prime Minister Brexit has failed.
Yeah, that's right. The Prime Minister seeking closer ties with Europe on defence and security. Meanwhile, across the pond, Donald Trump whacks punitive tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Question is Britain next?
Changes to how we grade our schools. New Ofsted inspection proposals are branded worse than the system currently in place.
One of the biggest nights in music, stars hit the red carpet in Los Angeles for the Grammy Awards.
Yes, it was a big night for the likes of Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar, but the biggest talking point came from the outfits, or lack thereof, on the red carpet.
Eco-anxiety is rife among children, with nearly 80% found to have a chronic fear of environmental doom. We're asking this morning, is it time to be more concerned about the climate?
And we'll be hearing about a community getting behind a young lad who is battling a rare form of cancer. He's coming into studio with his parents to tell us all about it and how you can get involved.
And in the sport this morning, Arsenal thrash Manchester City 5-1 at the Emirates as 18-year-old Miles Lewis-Skelly does his Erling Haaland Times meditation celebration. Erling wasn't too zen about the whole thing. Transfer window closes at 11 p.m. tonight. Marcus Rashford getting away from Manchester United to Aston Villa on loan for the rest of the season. And the World Marathon Challenge has begun. 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents.
There'll be a northwest-southeast split developing through Monday and then higher pressure building midweek. I'll have all the details coming up shortly.
Hello there on this Monday morning. Good to have you on board. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast with Eamonn and Ellie.
It's gone, oh, yeah. What's going on?
The plot thickens. So, Grammy Awards last night in LA.
Yeah.
Alex Davis has been telling us about it all morning. So you've been up all night, haven't you, watching the whole...
I have, yes. It's been quite a long one.
It has been. And the headlines this morning are all about Kanye West's wife, Bianca Censori, who stripped naked on the red carpet, just wearing nothing but a sheer dress. Now, lip readers have got involved.
Oh, hello.
Reading...
reading her lips.
Yeah, reading Kanye West's lips, Mayor.
Right, yeah.
Saying, you're making a scene now. Make a scene. I'll say it will make so much more sense. This is what Kanye West said to her.
Wait a minute. Kanye West said, make a scene.
Said, make a scene. I'll say it will make it so much more sense.
Whilst she was naked on
Whilst she was naked.
Sorry, now interpret that for me. Why did he want to make...
So he was telling his wife to take off her coat and walk naked down, to make a scene.
Oh, but surely...
According to lip reading experts.
Yeah.
But surely they knew the scene would be made. She wasn't going to keep that coat on all night.
Yeah.
Well,
he said, drop it behind you, then turn around to the cameras. I've got you. To which she said, all right, let's go.
So she's there in the coat, turns around...
Drops the coat.
The coat drops, turns around to the cameras.
And he's directing this, according
You blame him for this, don't you? You think it's him that's
I don't
controlling
think,
her?
Look, I'm no expert, but I don't think she looks very comfortable. She's pulling down at the sheer dress. Not that she can cover anything. We've seen everything anyway. But she's pulling it down. She doesn't look comfortable to me.
She never does. This isn't the first time that this has happened between them both either. She stepped out in basically nothing before, and each time it's the same things on social media come up that people think that she looks rather uncomfortable.
Well, and she also looks very beautiful. She looks incredible. But
she's gorgeous. Yeah.
I totally get the interpretation of why would you do that. And when we think as men, who would we ever know that you could say to them, walk out naked and then reveal yourself in front of everybody, make a show of yourself?
But I wouldn't see the appeal in that even if I was Kanye. If I had a beautiful wife at home, I've got a beautiful fiancée, but not a beautiful wife. Squeeze that one in.
Yeah, very good.
But like, if I wouldn't go out and feel comfortable with parading her like that, I don't see any sort of
gain to be had.
Yeah, I don't see any mind process where it would be.
Do they need the publicity, either of them?
No, they don't.
What, Kanye West? No. I mean, he's one of the most well-known rappers. He might have gone off the rails a little bit with some of the things he says now and then, but he's still one of the most well-known.
Are we off the opinion that he's not well-liked?
His reputation has sort of nosedived in recent years,
He's a controversial character.
Very much.
Well, this will bring it back for him, I'm sure. Everybody's going to love him after this one.
It's trending worldwide on X, these pictures.
That's the idea.
He's got the whole world talking.
That's the idea.
He wanted a show, he's got one.
Well, gentlemen, you'll be on our show just very, very shortly. We'll be back to both of you. Top story this morning is, could Britain be spared from President Trump's tariffs? He's giving them here, he's giving them there, he's giving them absolutely everywhere.
Well, speaking overnight, he says the UK is out of line, but admits that something could be worked out.
Will definitely happen with the European Union, I can tell you that, because they've really taken advantage of us. And, you know, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars, they don't take our farm products, they take almost nothing. And we take everything from them, millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm products. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see the UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I'm sure I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union it's an atrocity.
See, I think he meant to say the EU there first time, not the UK. And then since he mentioned the UK, he sort of said, well, they're a wee little bit bad. They're a little bit bad, but we think we can sort them.
The door's open, though, it would suggest. He's keeping us on a knife edge.
I don't think we have anything to worry about with them, but who knows?
Who knows?
But in response, the European Union has put President Trump on notice. They vow to hit back against what it calls hurtful tariffs.
Well, the threat comes ahead of Sir Keir Starmer's trip to Brussels later today, where he'll be warned to keep the EU at arm's length for the sake of the UK's special relationship with the US.
Let's get some analysis on this. Adam Cherry for us this morning. Adam, well, what do you make of it?
It's interesting talking about what did Donald Trump really mean, isn't it? That's always the question. He seems to vacillate one way and the other depending on what day it is. So the UK doesn't really know what its situation is, what its position is with the US. Of course, trade is the big topic at the moment. Donald Trump has already whacked tariffs on Canada and Mexico for the drug problem. What he sees is the fentanyl crossing the border in the north and the south. It's sort of a punishment for that until they sort that out, until they figure that out, quote. Of course, over with the EU as well, similarly, there are threats of a trade war there. Now, even if the UK avoids direct tariffs, as he seems to suggest there, it's not entirely clear, but it seems to be heading that way, there are still, of course, downstream effects anyway on inflation and interest rates. So it's not as if we'll be spared all the pain. The big problem for the UK, really, with the Trump relationship is actually foreign policy. It's to do with Chagos, the appointment of Peter Mandelson as the ambassador to Washington. Those are the crucial areas that figures within the Trump administration are briefing out they're unhappy about. It's fair, fine, they have good phone calls, Keir Starmer and Donald Trump, and it's all handshakes and nicey-nicey at the moment. They have dinner together. But that only lasts so long. And of course, you also have the baggage anyway of the last few years of Keir Starmer being very critical of Trump before he was Prime Minister. So we'll see where it goes. But for now, it seems, at least in terms of trade, the UK is as protected as it can be, at least directly. Of course, we also have the Prime Minister in Brussels today meeting European leaders to talk about security and defence. But the EU themselves are trying to extract concessions from the UK on areas like fishing. So it will be a tense negotiation. How far will he capitulate to the Europeans without upsetting the Americans? It's going to be a very interesting week in politics.
Yeah, tense and potentially awkward as well, Adam. I mean, we've got reports in the Times this morning that President Macron is going to take the opportunity to make Sir Keir Starmer eat humble pie.
Yeah, well, this is Macron's tactic. It's a sort of usual play for him. He's always been opposed to Brexit in the strongest terms, and he doesn't want to give anything away because then perhaps his own population will start asking questions of the European Union and question that relationship. So why would he give anything to the British? Whether it manifests in any policy terms, I'm not sure. Again, it's all about the European Union want concessions on areas like fishing and the youth mobility scheme. The UK are saying it's understood that they will not give a full mobility scheme for under 30s where those in the EU can live and work, or vice versa, in the UK at any time. They might offer a more limited scheme. But fishing, again, that's another issue. The fishing rights will be expiring in June 2026, so that's an area where they'll negotiate as well. It's all very messy is what I'm trying to say. It's all going to take a long time, and I don't think one dinner is going to produce some results. But it is interesting, as you point out, that already they're briefing out that they're unhappy with Keir Starmer, and they feel actually they're slightly surprised that he's not giving in as much as they're expecting. They're offering him more or less the same sort of dynamic or offer that they gave to Boris Johnson.
OK, Adam Cherry, thank you very much.
OK, and that brings us to our poll of the day. Does Britain risk being dragged into a US trade tariffs war if we become too friendly to the European Union?
Yep, well, we'll give you the final result later in Martin Daubney's show. If you want to get involved, just head to gbnews.com/poll.
And the thing is, if we get dragged into some sort of confrontation or tariff war with America, what should we do about it? How frightened would you be by it? What do you think the answer to that is? Have your say. Get in touch with us and we'll try and reflect your thoughts on the whole matter. Your say.
Now, 11 minutes past 8, let's get a check on the weather for you.
Despite the morning rain, it'll be a nice, cosy day ahead. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Looking ahead, it's going to be turning wet and windy in the northwest, drier in the southeast, but turning colder as we see higher pressure building. So it's been a cold start across the southeast, but a bright start here. Across much of England and Wales, though, it is going to be a largely dry day through Monday. There'll be a few showers, maybe across the Midlands and the southeast of England, but across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, increasingly unsettled, wet and windy with heavy spells of rain, but mild here, temperatures coming up at around 10 or 11 degrees. So through the rest of Monday evening then, that band of rain will continue to slowly edge its way in from the west, affecting much of Scotland during rush hour. So do take care if you are out and about. There'll be some strong winds and perhaps some surface water flooding. Across Northern Ireland, a cloudy picture here with outbreaks of rain just edging in later on in the evening. Across much of England and Wales, though, holding on to generally cloudy skies and staying largely dry. So as we go through the rest of Monday evening and overnight, heavy spells of rain persisting across Northern Ireland and much of Scotland, slowly making its way south and eastwards and accompanied by some very strong winds. Towards the south of that, though, largely dry across much of England and Wales, and temperatures for all of us staying up above freezing. So a frost-free start to Tuesday. But a damp start, especially across northern parts of England and then into Wales, with this band of rain slowly trying to sink its way south and eastwards. Ahead of that, often dry and cloudy across much of south and eastern England, but behind across Northern Ireland and Scotland, sunny spells, frequent showers turning colder here. Some of the showers could turn a little bit wintry over the hills towards the south, highs of 10 or 11 degrees. Bye-bye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, the Great British Giveaway has changed. It's very different today and very, very interesting. Why is that?
Because there's now 2 chances to win in the latest Great British Giveaway, not 1 but 2.
2, okay.
2 amazing prizes to be won. It's a bundle. Each bundle contains a brand new iPhone, £500 to spend in your favourite store, and £10,000 in tax-free cash.
OK, you put it all together and you could win it like this.
The Great British Giveaway is officially 1 year old, and we have a birthday treat for you. We're giving you not 1, but 2 chances to win this month, with 2 prize bundles that include an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash. But that's not all. You'll also get a brand new iPhone 16 and a £500 shopping voucher to spend at your favourite store. So why not be extra lucky this month? For a chance to win an iPhone, vouchers and £10,000 in cash, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus.
Still to come, an interesting one. It's called eco-anxiety. How worried should you be? More importantly, how worried should young people be about the state of the planet?
Yeah, apparently it's rife among young people. We're going to be talking about that next.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Well, specialist from Woolly and Wallace Auction House, Alexandra Aguilar, joins me now. Alexandra, how lovely to see you. And I wonder whether you were going to bring the jewellery in. You're actually wearing the jewellery. So shall we begin with the bracelet?
Right, so it's a diamond line bracelet, as you can see. It's really a beautiful thing. It's made of 27 diamonds with a yellow tint, and they are mounted on yellow gold, and it's really a beautiful, beautiful piece. But there's more to it, and as you mentioned, it's the provenance. It comes from the collection of Elizabeth Taylor, really one of the queens of Hollywood, and it was given to her by Michael Jackson.
Have you any idea why Michael Jackson gave her such a magnificent gift?
They were very, very good friends. They were friends for over 20 years, and he knew her love for diamonds, for jewellery, and we know that they exchanged many presents, including this fantastic bracelet.
Would that have been made new at that time?
Yes, I believe so.
We're talking, what, about the 1970s or something like that?
Oh, maybe a little bit later.
Later, 80s?
Yes, that's right. But what's particularly interesting about this one is all the 27 diamonds have the same color. And it's very difficult to find stones with the same color, with the same yellow tint. So it makes it particularly beautiful and particularly special.
Why do you think it will go for about £70,000?
It's well, it is a beautiful piece. It's very wearable, as you can see, and there is the provenance is amazing. Jewelry from the collection of Elizabeth Taylor is very sought after, of course.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 8:18. Now, what were you worried about as a child? I was worried about monsters under the bed.
Daleks.
Daleks?
Yeah.
OK, that's niche. Why?
It's not niche, that's fair. They were terrifying.
OK,
terrifying
so Daleks
things.
for you. OK, but it was probably likely monsters or the dark. Well, eco-anxiety is now on the rise in young people. Almost 4 in 5 children under 12 are anxious about the climate.
And do you know what I think? So they should be, OK? Meanwhile, 70% of primary school teachers are concerned that they don't have enough time to educate their students on this matter. So should we feel anxious about changes to the environment? Yes, I do think we should. And I think children should be anxious about it.
Well, to debate this, we're joined by Professor at Bangor University, Christian Dunn, and Director of Future Cities Project, Austin William. Very good to see you both this morning. Professor Dunn, should we start with you? Are you shocked by these findings that eco-anxiety is rife among children?
I'm not particularly shocked by it. I don't like the fact it's kind of been branded as an anxiety. You know, I've got 2 young kids, and I wouldn't say they're anxious about it, but they want to do something about it. They're aware that there are problems, and they actually want to do something about it. And I think that's only a positive thing, being aware of a very serious problem and wanting to do something about it.
Totally with you, Christian. And, you know, people being taught how to do something about it. And you know what? There's nobody doing much about it from our generation, and it's going to be up to them. So why shouldn't they? That is the whole question there, Austin. Why shouldn't they be anxious about it?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily a healthy response. That's why. I mean, I think that we've already got climate change, which is part of the national curriculum, taught in most subjects across the curriculum. And we're talking here in this report of Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 students, so from the ages of kind of 6 to 11. So I don't think that the idea of, you know, instead of maybe teaching them some science or teaching them education, we all know that the educational system is in crisis these days, teaching them some subject knowledge is a little bit different to teaching them about the worries and concerns of maybe the adult life, where I think they should be a little bit more immune to that in the younger years. So I don't necessarily think that anxiety is a healthy way to kind of engage our children in anything, particularly.
Maybe it's just being described wrongly. Maybe it's just, you know, a really healthy interest they have.
Well, you can interpret it that way if you want to, but the report says anxiety. So, and you can see it. I mean, if you know, whether you turn on the television, whether you can read any magazines or whatever it might be, there is this consistent kind of drumming into us that the world is on fire or we're drowning or whatever it might be. And I'm, you know, who wouldn't be anxious? The fact that necessarily leads to something positive, I don't know whether that's an obvious conclusion. So I'm slightly concerned. I'm very concerned actually, the way the education system is being used. And when you look at the way that the Labour Party has said that, the result of their budget will be that a kind of a consultant, a psychologist, a counsellor will be in every school, then suddenly we're turning education from what it really should be, which is kind of core subject knowledge, which I'm all in favour of, into this kind of dealing with youth anxiety. I think is not necessarily the best way forward.
Christian?
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest that what we have to do is, we have to talk about climate change in every subject because it affects everything, whether that's economy, absolutely everything. But I will stress that I do think this has to be a positive action that we need to take, showing children what they can do, and young people what they can do. And I think that people are. At Bangor University, we're seeing an increase in people wanting to come and study the natural and environmental sciences. And that's because they want to do something about it. And I think when it comes down to younger children, there was this push a few years ago, and it's kind of died down now. And I think we should really kind of be fighting back, is to bring back natural history into schools, to give kids an interest, a passion in the natural world. And when they have that, as I hope say my kids do, when they have that, they will want to do something about the environment and about climate change.
Christian, could you just explain to me what natural history is?
Natural history is basically just knowing about our wildlife and our natural ecosystems, not in a kind of a really detailed way when it comes to ecology and biology, but just knowing what a badger is, what a kestrel is, what they eat, how a river system operates in kind of broad terms, how general geology of our country is. That's natural history. And it's probably stuff that we as slightly older, we probably know that, but many young people don't know that. And I think that makes that we are disconnected, younger people and older people, disconnected from the natural world. So it then becomes a thing over there. The environment becomes something to look at over there, rather than it just being part and parcel of our actual lives.
OK, should children be disconnected? Should they be heavily involved? Have your say today and let us know. Gentlemen, thank you both very much indeed for your time. We'll leave it there. We've got Paul Coit today. He's certainly not disconnected with the sports world. What's going on?
Well, firstly, I've got to say, when you said about Daleks, you were scared of Daleks, Doctor Who.
Tell me you were as well.
I was scared of the music.
Oh, yeah.
Doodle-doo.
Yeah. The Ron Grainer Orchestra scared the life out of me.
The
music.
worst Doctor Who episode ever, and the scariest one was, do you remember the Angels? The Angels of Death. To this day, nightmares.
Yeah, there's something quite spooky about that. But I used to love old black and white films that used to be on the TV about, Edgar Allan Poe or whatever. Yeah. And, people used to wake up, the camera used to be on them, and they'd open their eyes, and then suddenly they realised they were in a coffin.
Yeah, that's...
They were scraping on the lid of the coffin.
But you know what? At least that's scary. The other thing I was scared of was the siren. I was watching Dad's Army the other day.
Brilliant.
And do you remember, this is so ridiculous, but as a kid, it used to end and they were marching along, you've been watching. Yeah. You used to hear the siren. I used to be scared of the siren. I used to run out when the siren. Now, what the hell is going on there?
Very sensitive sound.
I was a very sensitive child. Very sensitive child. Yeah. Right, should we talk about the sport? Something else that scares me. Arsenal Football Club. Arsenal 5, Manchester City 1. And I've got to tell you, Man City, they were like lambs to the slaughter. I mean, it started off all right. They were 1-0 down, and then they get a goal back, and you're thinking, maybe a game on. Arsenal score straight away. They end up scoring 5. And they were very good, Arsenal, and probably as good as Manchester City were bad. Mikel Arteta, should we hear from Captain Black?
Yeah.
There's something scary. Let's hear from Captain Black now. That's what he had to say.
It's a great day for us, for the result, for the manner that we've done it, and especially against the level of the opposition that we played today. To beat them in the manner that we've done, a lot of things have to go your way. We were very aggressive. We play with a lot of courage, with and without the ball, and our high press, where the limits are really, really thin. They scored a goal, should have scored another one. Clearly, and after one, even if you want it, they are that good that sometimes you just have to stay deep and defend deep and suffer and enjoy those moments as well.
The interesting thing about him, of course, he is a disciple of Guardiola.
Yes.
Isn't he? He learned on his knee.
Whereas now, obviously, he's surpassing Guardiola, struggling, and you've got Mikel Arteta, who's doing very well. I don't know whether it's me, but he seems to be going nicer.
Only when he wins 5-1.
You think that's probably what it is?
Yeah.
OK, a couple of other quick ones. Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 2. We'll skirt over that. Quite happy to do that. You know, just another loss for Manchester United. Brentford 0, Spurs 2, so Spurs won away. Things looking better now for Tottenham Hotspur. And how about this? I remember talking about this last year. It's a crazy marathon. 7 marathons across 7 days in 7 continents.
Yes.
Let's have a look. Where are they to begin with? So this is just mad. So you know what? Maybe we don't have the picture, so I'll have to demonstrate. For you. It was in the snow, and it was in the Antarctic. So they've moved from the Antarctic, they've moved from there, and then they go to Brazil. They're doing Australia, they're doing America. So they do the marathon, fly to the next one, do another marathon, fly to the next one.
Could you
7 days.
imagine the toll on your body?
Can you imagine?
And the travel as well, it'd be exhausting.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Anyway.
Paul, appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. We will take a break there, and we're going to be talking to a young lad who needs your help right after this.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In Glasgow, the A77 is closed along Pollock Shores Road at Pollock Shields for repairs to a burst water main. On the M6 in Lancashire, 3 lanes are closed northbound after an accident between junctions 31 and 32 from Samlesbury to the M55, causing long delays. In South Yorkshire, the A630 is closed along Trafford Way in Doncaster for an investigation. On the M1 in Bedfordshire, the inside lanes closed southbound just before junction 10 at Luton Airport after an accident with delays from junction 11A north of Dunstable. On the M4 in Newport, 2 out of 3 lanes are closed eastbound after an accident between junctions 25 and 24 from Kiley onto the Caldra. It's taking over an hour in queues from junction 29 for the A48M. On the M25 in Essex, 2 out of 4 lanes are closed anti-clockwise just before junction 29 for the A127 where a car's broken down, and there are 2 lanes closed clockwise with a breakdown just before junction 30 for the A13.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, this is a special part of the programme where we get to meet some of the greatest and bravest Britons in the country, and it's called Community Heroes.
Yes, and we're going to meet Freddy. He's an 11-year-old from Essex who loves football and spending time with his friends. But he was also diagnosed with a rare form of cancer back in June 2023.
Now, Freddy's story, it's about true strength, and he hasn't been without his supporters. He's got a lot of those. With me, to my right here, we've got the football manager at his local club, Richard. And Richard is running the London Marathon, and you're doing that on behalf of Freddy, yeah?
That's true, yeah.
Good lad. All proceeds will go to Freddy and the charity Spread a Smile, helping seriously ill children across the country.
But Richard isn't only running the marathon, he has also organised a fundraiser for this weekend with the help from Freddy's family, and he needs your help.
Well, let's meet Freddy's family here in the studio. That we say hello to. I thought it was your sister, Freddy. This is your mummy here, is it, Charmaine? Very good.
Nice to meet you.
Very good to see you both. So, what about all this fuss being made of you? What do you think? What's going to happen this weekend?
What are we going to do?
Fundraiser.
Yeah, we're going to raise some funds, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're going to have a really good party and celebrate kicking cancer's butt, aren't we?
Yeah, and hopefully raise lots and lots of money as well. So, Charmaine, tell us about what the last 18 months have been like for your family.
The last 18 months, well, it's been extremely traumatic. Freddy being diagnosed in June 23 changed our lives completely. And he's had a gruelling, intense road of chemotherapy and radiotherapy. But as you can see, he's the strongest boy we know, very brave.
You look well.
And we're very proud of him.
You look more healthy than me. Yeah. Now, Richard, so tell us about the support in the community and your football team and what everybody wants to do and what they're trying to do.
Yeah, we're doing a lot for Freddy. So we've got the fundraiser on the 8th, and we've had a lot of support from the local community, family, friends. The support's been overwhelming, to be honest.
And what part of the land is this? Tell us about your area.
So the football club is Witham Town, which is in Essex. I live in Halstead and Freddy lives in Hatfield Peveril. So we're all in a few miles.
Down in Essex then.
And the community has really come together, hasn't it? All these businesses have been donating prizes to you for this week.
Yeah, it's been really good. Yeah, local shops, local butchers. He's done a massive fundraising event for us. And it's really coming together now.
Incredible.
So do you get like cuts of meat and things, pork chops?
He is putting a hammer in, Eamonn, yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
And this is only part of it, isn't it, Richard? Because you're also running the marathon for Freddy.
Yes, I'm running. That's right. I'm running the London Marathon for Freddy. He wanted me to run for Spread a Smile, which is a charity close to his heart. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, fantastic.
And Charmaine, tell me about life, day-to-day life, about the medication and the treatment that Freddy gets and how it has affected you all as a family.
I think when your child's diagnosed, it completely changes your whole life. As in, Freddy has 3 siblings as well, so they all rely on mummy and daddy. But when your child becomes really poorly, everything still has to remain the same at home. But one parent has to be with the child and the other parent has to continue to work and continue to provide for your other children. And you become a nurse overnight. Everything that you used to do is completely changed.
And it affects the whole family.
It affects the whole family, and we were very lucky to have the support of our parents. Without my mum and dad, I don't know how we would have got through the last 2 years.
And how does it feel for you to have the whole community, Richard, and all those businesses around you?
Before we answer that, Freddy, you just keep quiet and let someone else speak. Well, is he normally this quiet?
No, not really. He's just, you've got to warm up. Come on, Fred. This is your big time to shine.
It's your big moment. You are the star of the show.
You are the star of the show. And Freddy, all this money that's going to be raised, you're hoping that if lots and lots of money is raised, you'd like to start a charity. And what would your charity raise money for?
For local charities.
To help
sick children.
Like
me.
Yeah, kick.
And so, Richard, what do you need from people? Donations, or do you need them taking part in all of this, or what?
Yeah, donations would be good. Raffle and auction prizes would also be a massive help for the evening to raise more money for Spread a Smile and for Freddy's new charity, hopefully.
Yeah,
that's the plan.
And Freddy, how are you feeling? Are you doing okay? Yeah? And do you still play football?
No.
No, you've had to give that up. Yeah.
Hopefully you'll get back to it. Yeah. How does it feel for you having all these people raising money for you? Is that something that makes you feel good?
Yeah.
Yeah. And setting up a charity for other children with cancer. That's amazing. That's what you want to do.
Well, good luck to you all. There's how you give. There's how you get in touch. And Freddy's fundraiser, there's it is. And son, we wish you all the very, very best and keep telling us how you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, we're wishing you well.
Thank you very much.
And best of luck with the fundraiser this weekend. Your details are on the screen there for you. justgiving.com/crowdfunding/Jima-Lapwood. If
Richard,
you'd like to go.
Charmaine and Freddy, thank you. Lovely having you in the studio.
Thank you so much very much.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Do you want to say we're back with the papers after this?
Go on, say
You
it.
just say that.
So we're back with the paper.
Back with the papers after this.
Say it. Back with the paper.
Who said to say something?
Mum,
oh, you want to say
Mum's
something?
going to say, when I get you home.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, guys. We are back with the papers with Dawn Neeson and Chris Akabusi right after this. Don't go away.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Well, there's plenty of fine weather around as higher pressure becomes established, but unsettled in parts of Greece. So across the Canaries, largely dry on Tuesday. Across Gibraltar, perhaps just seeing some spells of rain or showers. Largely dry across parts of Italy as well with sunshine, but across Greece, we have got an area of low pressure, bringing some showers, perhaps quite heavy at times. But looking ahead across Wednesday and Thursday, plenty of settled weather and feeling pleasant too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Lisa, you got in touch with me and you flagged this survey because you were concerned as a parent that your child had been given this to fill out.
Yeah, I mean, my daughter came home from school, she was very confused. She was asking why somebody would want to hurt themselves if they were feeling sad or worried about something. So that led to a conversation that we had, and I actually phoned the school and asked them to send me the survey, which with a lot of pushing, they eventually did send me the survey. And when I read through it, I was just completely shocked at the content. The survey says when I'm feeling worried that maybe I should try cutting or harming myself, because it's in the survey, so that must be an option. I've tried everything else, so why not try this?
It is astonishing that some of these are young children who are perhaps being introduced to these, these abuses for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a list of 17 different types of drugs, some of which I've actually never heard of myself. I mean, the wording on here is, have you ever got high from taking drugs? I mean...
And we know that some of these behaviours, self-harm, gender dysphoria, taking drugs, are psychologically contagious. Children do them because they see other children do them, or they find out about them from the internet or from surveys like this. So the idea that this is just information gathering and won't go any further than that is ridiculous. There was a similar survey in Scotland, I think, about 3 years ago, where children the same age, 11, 12, 13, were asked about their sex lives. How many times have you had sex in the last year? How did you have sex? Did you use contraception? Totally normalising underage sex. So the idea that children are just mini adults and we can confront them with all the same kind of ideas and dilemmas that adults have to face is just ridiculous.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're
the failure
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
we're talking parties, and we're getting quite worked up about this. Dawn and Chris doing that. And Chris, explain to us, we're talking about Cambridge University.
Yeah.
And there was a party with a bit of a legacy. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Corpus Christi College, the dean's gone ape. I can't say that.
Got a bit angry.
You got absolutely, yeah. Because the junior common room, the junior common room had one of their parties, and it got out of hand like teenagers do when they leave home and go to university, and they found vomit in the toilets, faeces on the floor, and the cleaners had to go in and clean it up. So he said to them, "OK, you can't have a party for a couple of weeks." Right? First of all, I went, why is it on the Times as a story, young kids throw a wobbler and get sick?
So you think this is a pretty normal occurrence?
Yes, that's what happens when you get to those. The difference is, when I was a youngster, as a squaddy, and went to the Pigs Bar, and you had to clean it up. They've got a cleaner go in to clean it up.
Yeah.
You had to clean it up, or you know, the whole group was sanctioned for a period of time, or you caught a jerry can on the back of your head when you went past MT. That's the way of the boys sorting you out.
That's what sort of. But you know, it's the lack of respect that any of us, no matter who we are in life, when you think about whoever's left to clean up after you.
Yeah. I mean, even when I was younger, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't leave a mess. I mean, you just it's just not something I would do.
You clean up the best you could.
Of course, always.
And just to have respect for those cleaners.
Yeah, but I mean, sort of like, you know, kids going to a party, drinking too much and being sick, I get, but people actually defecating on floor.
Well, yeah, but they obviously, they've obviously had a few too many sherbets. So we get that. But what I'm saying is, we can regulate that amongst ourselves. If the dean says that's out of order, if you don't sort this out, then there's going to be no more parts for the rest of the term, then you just go and sort it out.
These are the brightest brains in the world, though, aren't they? This is Cambridge University. It's not like, you know...
Well, a lot of it is also is the Malou and the zeitgeist, because actually you can't sort it out. If they caught a jerry can or a medicine ball at night somewhere, somebody would go, that's the human rights that you've violated, and then who've... through the implement or the projectile will be sorted out, rather than the kids who've actually had antisocial behaviour.
But they do just need a smack.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Well, so I say, think of the cleaners. Think of the cleaners. That's what I'd be saying.
Yeah. Dawn, we're talking about that outfit.
Oh, God,
or
yes,
that
shall
thereof, in Los Angeles overnight at the Grammys. This Kanye West wife, Bianca Censori.
And she should have been censored.
Well, should have been censored.
Yes.
It's called... You've got a pixelated image on your screen now. If you go on social media, you can see it unpixelated, and she is literally standing there naked.
Now, beautiful, curvaceous woman.
Beautiful.
But it's not the time or the place, surely.
The thing is with Bianca, it's before, you know, she is a lawyer. So before she started...
She's a lawyer?
Yeah, before she started going up with Kanye, she used to dress normally. She used to go shopping and wear jeans and a T-shirt like most normal girls do. Now she goes in a thong and nipple tassels. Now, is this her decision, or is he forcing her to do it? Or is she saying, I'm going out dressed like this,
exactly.
And you can't do anything?
My body, my choice.
That's your theory. Explain your theory.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is, I cannot understand how a fellow would be able to coerce a woman to go out naked as a jaybird if she didn't want to do it. So I'm asking, is it the other way around? Is she going, my body, my choice, you used to go out with a Kardashian, I'm going to show her that actually I can trump what she does, and then she goes like that, and he goes, mate, come on. If you don't like it, you can stay at home. He goes, OK, well, I better be there. I mean, look, it's all conjecture. What I'm saying, at the moment, everyone's saying that's him coercing her. Could it possibly be the other way around?
It's interesting.
I don't know. The plot has thickened, hasn't it, this morning, Dawn, because a professional lip reader has been in touch with the tabloids.
Yes, and so basically it's him saying, right, do this, do that.
He's
the one in charge. And his body language says that as well.
He might be encouraging as much as he says she wants to do it, and he wants to upstage his former wife, Kim Kardashian. Because women do have much more control of their body and their persona. You only need to look at the papers and look at the was it Oscars? What was it last night? The Grammys. The Grammys, yeah. And every other lady
A few of them aren't wearing very much. There
Correct.
are a couple of them that are just wearing a couple of sequins.
Correct.
But as women, what do you think?
As a feminist, I think every woman has the right to wear whatever she wants, provided she's not breaking any laws, whenever she wants to wear it. That is my opinion. I might not like it, but I think they have. Now, I mean, this is indecent exposure,
Yeah, it is.
so it is breaking laws. So, I don't like it, but if it's her choice to wear that, then fair enough. It's the same as women who are, wearing full-length burqas. If that's their choice, absolutely no problem. But if they're being forced or encouraged by a man to wear it, then I'm not.
But when you say like force, of course, that's man. The herd have also got a very strong influence on us as people. So when you might think it's your choice, but actually the herd have made that impression upon you, so that you've got to go further and further and further. I've got three daughters, 40, 36, 14. I've got a granddaughter who's 4, and I wonder what is this shadow of our celebrity class and our marketing class on those young people, to give them their choice to actually go further than what we're seeing today.
Right, your views very, very welcome on this.
You know what, Eamonn? I'm just really glad they don't work on The Sun anymore. Because if you were a young female reporter on The Sun, they'd see this picture and go, right, you get out there, walk down the street and see what reaction you get. In that exact outfit.
Oh, dear, dear. Dawn, let's talk about midlife slump. Lift hits a glorious peak at 45.
Yes. Well, basically, everyone thinking midlife crisis, 45 is not a good age to be, heading into your 50s, life's over. It's not. We hit our health and happiness peak at the age of 45. This is according to a new survey of 40 to 59-year-old Brits.
That's all right if you're not having the menopause, for instance.
Right, or the menopause, which is even worse.
Yeah. It is. You may laugh. It does exist. I'm telling you.
Menopause?
And it will be proven one day it does exist.
How does that manifest itself?
Our hormones drop, our energy drops, everything
everything drops.
Everything drops. Everything drops. Yeah. The difference is, though, we get more handsome looking. We get as we enter. Do you not think as you entered your middle ages, you were
I've been called many things. Handsome is not one of them, so I ain't going there.
In any case, those surveys said signs of midlife renaissance, including joining gyms, learning a language, starting yoga. So we are starting to relive a second life, and it's only once you get past 59, really. That
I don't know if we hit our health peak at 45. No, I mean the healthiest, strongest, fittest, most agile was when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. I was
Well, you were kind of an Olympian, so I mean, you've got a long way to go down from there.
But I do agree with the happiness. Post 45, actually post 55, once you work yourself out and you begin to accept yourself as you are, warts and all. Now, this is predicated upon having enough money to pay the bills. I suspect that, if you can't pay your bills, it's different. But health is wealth. If you've got your basic health and you get to your 50s and 60s, I am as happy, probably happier than ever been. Because you begin to accept yourself for who you are and the way that you are.
No, true, and you should do, absolutely.
Your health is your wealth, that's what I would say.
Let's have a look at Gen Z, Gen Z. They're raving mad, according to the Daily Star.
Yeah. So Gen Z, that's 1997 to 2012. So I've got a couple of pickings, young ones. My lad's 2007, my daughter's 2011. Apparently, they are, because, this was shown off by the Oasis effect, where everyone went absolutely ballistic looking for Oasis tickets. All of a sudden, Gen Z have thrown their eyes towards the decadent 90s, and they want to emulate the 90s. Means basically, my body, my choice, get yourself trolleyed. Paul Weller and Bridget Jones will sort of...
Oh, Bridget Jones in the movie.
The frazzled look, but I'm not quite sure. I find that generation, from my limited research, their world is inside their computers. Their world is inside their iPads and their iPhones. And they are led by what they see in that world, which I cannot see. So I'm not quite sure, but that's what Will Stone is saying, that actually our Gen Z, our young people, people, they are motivated to, let's get back to the 90s. The 90s was forward for me. I'm back to the 70s.
Oh, mate, I'm so with you. I'm so glad you said that. I mean, there's so much that wasn't there in the 70s, but there was so much that was, so much left to your imagination, so much that was exciting.
Exactly.
And, you know, people talk about how depressing the 70s were. I lived it. It was amazing. Glam pop, all that.
Is that because we were younger? We had that enthusiasm for life. We had so much, you know, with so much to go for, so much excitement. We were looking forward. Now we're at the age where we're looking back, and you get that nostalgia, and it's like,
I do. But also in the 70s, you could court a lady. You know, first of all, it wasn't all on display.
So back to Bianca's as well.
The Bianca business.
And you could court a lady and you play the game and you get to know them, and then maybe after 3, 4, 5, half a dozen meetings, you might actually get a lot closer. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Easter eggs, Dawn. Basically, Christmas ended and Easter eggs were on the shelf.
They were literally on the shelf on Boxing Day.
There's something about Easter egg chocolate so much better than normal chocolate.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
I don't know why.
I don't know what it is. It's the same chocolate, but it's in the shape of an egg. But you're in trouble this year because the cost of cocoa is up, which means all your Easter eggs are up. I mean, the Ferrero Rocher Easter egg has doubled in price, and a bag of Cadbury's mini eggs, don't like them so much, they are now up to, projected to cost £15 this year.
What?
Exactly.
An Easter egg is £15?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so they're getting very, very expensive. And the demand is sort of like...
Well, they're a luxury item now, aren't they?
The weather hasn't been so good, basically. But yeah, there is something about Easter eggs that are very yummy.
My basic problem with Easter eggs is that they're not thick, they're thin.
No, but that's what makes them good. That's why they taste so much better than normal chocolate. Yeah. Because they're nice and thin.
No, they used to be like literally that thick. You would break your teeth on an Easter egg. But I'm saying why they've reduced in size and thickness and
everything's
whatever.
Getting smaller.
Everything.
Shrinkflation. Exactly. Cream eggs are definitely smaller.
Yeah. But Easter eggs is one of the best examples of shrinkflation because it's all packaging, isn't it? You get way less.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Can you still get a milk tray Easter egg? I remember when I was young, it was like the ambition, like to get a milk tray was the biggest, best sort of Easter egg there was.
I haven't seen one, to be fair.
I haven't seen one for a while.
No.
But I remember doing a story about how you eat your cream egg and what it says about you. You pop it all in one go.
And you take the lid off.
No, I'd bite the top off and I would dip my tongue in and I might do that. No?
And scoop out the middle, yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think that's the way to do it as well. No one puts it all in one go, do they?
Right, we're done with you two. Thank you very much indeed. Dawn Neeson, Chris Akabusi, and you learnt everything there from Easter eggs to not being sick at parties. Thank you very much
Well, let
indeed.
us know if you've bought an Easter egg so far this year and how much you've spent, if you have. gbnews.com/.
Which are the best ones?
Which are the best ones as well. Do let us know. Now, it was perfect winter's day yesterday. Nice and sunny, bit crisp, bit cold. Will it be the same on the agenda today? Let's have a little word with Catherine Chalk, who's got all the details for us.
Woo! A chilly start will give way to a lovely, warm afternoon. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Looking ahead, it's going to be turning wet and windy in the northwest, drier in the southeast, but turning colder as we see higher pressure building. So it's been a cold start across the southeast, but a bright start here. Across much of England and Wales, though, it is going to be a largely dry day through Monday. There'll be a few showers, maybe across the Midlands and the southeast of England, but across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, increasingly unsettled, wet and windy with heavy spells of rain, but mild here, temperatures coming up at around 10 or 11 degrees. So through the rest of Monday evening then, that band of rain will continue to slowly edge its way in from the west, affecting much of Scotland during rush hour. So do take care if you are out and about. There'll be some strong winds and perhaps some surface water flooding. Across Northern Ireland, a cloudy picture here with outbreaks of rain just edging in later on in the evening. Across much of England and Wales, though, holding on to generally cloudy skies and staying largely dry. So as we go through the rest of Monday evening and overnight, heavy spells of rain persisting across Northern Ireland and much of Scotland, slowly sinking its way south and eastwards and accompanied by some very strong winds. Towards the south of that, though, largely dry across much of England and Wales, and temperatures for all of us staying up above freezing. So a frost-free start to Tuesday. But a damp start, especially across northern parts of England and then into Wales, with this band of rain slowly trying to sink its way south and eastwards. Ahead of that, often dry and cloudy across much of south and eastern England, but behind across Northern Ireland and Scotland, sunny spells, frequent showers, turning colder here. Some of the showers could turn a little bit wintry over the hills towards the south, highs of 10 or 11 degrees. Bye-bye.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. On the M6 in Lancashire, 3 out of 4 lanes are closed northbound after an accident between junctions 31 and 32 from Samlesbury to the M55, with queues from junction 28 at Leyland. On the M180 in Lincolnshire, there's a lane closed westbound where someone's broken down between junctions 2 and 1 from Gainsborough to the A18 at Bawtry, causing queues. On the M4 in Newport, 2 out of 3 lanes are closed eastbound after an accident between junctions 25 and 24 from Caerleon to the Caldra. It's taking over an hour in queues from junction 29 for the A48M. On the M25 in Hertfordshire, the outside lanes closed clockwise where a car's broken down at junction 21 for the M1, with queues from junction 19 at Watford. And there are a couple of breakdowns on the M25 in Essex, with the outside lane closed anti-clockwise just before junction 29 for the A127, and 2 lanes closed clockwise just before junction 30 for the A13, causing queues. It's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
We're giving you not 1, but 2 chances to win this month, with 2 prize bundles that include an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash. But that's not all. You'll also get a brand new iPhone 16 and a £500 shopping voucher to spend at your favourite store. So why not be extra lucky this month? For a chance to win an iPhone, vouchers and £10,000 in cash, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB11 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 7th of March. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. US President Donald Trump could spare the UK from tariffs as he targets the European Union.
UK is out of line, but I'm sure I think that one can be worked out.
Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer set to meet EU leaders in Brussels. He warned to keep the bloc at a distance if he wants to maintain any relationship with the Trump administration.
While President Macron is also expected to tell Sir Keir Starmer that Brexit has failed.
Earlier, we spoke to the Shadow Paymaster General, that's Richard Holden. This is what he had to say.
I really do worry about Keir Starmer on this, because he's always wanted to be as close to the European Union as possible. We always remember he wanted that second referendum.
Changes to how we grade our schools. New Ofsted inspection proposals are branded worse than the system currently in place.
One of the biggest nights in music as stars hit the red carpet in Los Angeles. It was the Grammy Awards last night.
Yes, it was a good night for the likes of Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar, but not so good for the likes of Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish. But all eyes were on the red carpet. I'll tell you why in a moment.
There'll be a northwest-southeast split developing through Monday and then higher pressure building midweek. I'll have all the details coming up shortly.
Very nice to have you on board, whoever you're watching, whoever you're listening. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast with Eamonn and Ellie. And Alex, you've been watching the Grammys overnight. You haven't even been to bed yet.
No, not just yet, no. I hope the concealer is hiding the bags.
You look great.
Yeah. Alex, how important are these? What sort of difference are these likely to make to an artist?
Well, I think they're pretty monumental. I mean, this is Beyonce's first Album of the Year award, and there was a lot of press about it last year because Jay-Z literally went on stage and effectively just divided the entire board for her not having the award before. So if somebody of Beyonce's calibre is getting peeved off that she's not won a specific award before, I'm pretty sure that shows you just how highly regarded they are.
But there's a bit of controversy about this, isn't there? Is it the fact that she's now won this award, or it's the category she's won the award in?
This year, it's more probably targeted towards the category that she's won it in. She did win the biggest award, Best Album of the Year, but she also won Best Country Album of the Year. And that's where a lot of the controversy lies. This was her first country and Western style album, Cowboy Carter. But a lot of people who are big fans of the genre don't seem to think it was really worthy of an award of the Grammys stature. There were other nominees like we discussed earlier, Chris Stapleton, Lainey Wilson, some very big names in the country world who missed out.
Lots of
good man, Alex.
We'll have more from you a little bit later on in the programme. Thanks, Alex. Now to our top story, and could the UK be spared from President Trump's tariffs? Well, speaking overnight, Donald Trump said the UK is out of line, but admits that something could be worked out.
Will definitely happen with the European Union, I can tell you that, because they've really taken advantage of us. And, you know, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars, they don't take our farm products, they take almost nothing. And we take everything from them, millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm product. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see the UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I'm sure that one, I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union it's an atrocity.
Well, that's telling them, isn't it? So how did Europe reply to that? President Trump was told by President Macron, he's put them on notice, and he vows to hit back against what he calls hurtful tariffs.
Well, the threat comes ahead of Sir Keir Starmer's trip to Brussels later today. Well, he'll be warned to keep the EU at arm's length for the sake of the UK's special relationship with the US.
OK, Adam Cherry, our reporter in Westminster, he's going to tell us more about the implications and the sensitivities of all of this, Adam.
Yes, good morning, guys. It's interesting, isn't it? You just played that clip of Donald Trump there. The UK is out of line, but the EU is really out of line. So it seems, for now, that we actually have a little bit of a Brexit benefit here. Actually, being away from the European Union means we'll be protected as much as we can from these tariffs if they come, and it seems they will be. They're already applying tariffs. The White House already applying them to Canada and Mexico. EU appears to be next, so we expect those to come. If they do, and when they do, the effects in the UK will really be in the downstream, so inflation and therefore interest rates. So we won't be entirely insulated from the pain, but at least they won't be directly applied to us, at least for now. Of course, this is Donald Trump, and he does often change his mind, depending on what day it is. But for now, that is where we are. Really, the problem the White House and Downing Street will have is on foreign policy. It's not necessarily on trade. The trade deficit is very small. On foreign policy, it's a much bigger problem when you talk about the Chagos deal, which the Trump administration have been making all sorts of negative noises about. And we understand Marco Rubio and David Lammy will be having last-minute meetings about that. It's also the appointment of Peter Mandelson as the ambassador to the White House. Those are really the issues that are dominating the relationship between the White House and Downing Street. It's not really these trade negotiations. Now, talking about the EU specifically, of course, you mentioned as well, the Prime Minister is heading to Brussels today. My colleague Christopher Hope will be there as well with all the latest on that. We understand really that's about security cooperation, at least from Downing Street's side. That's why Keir Starmer is there, to talk about a closer relationship on security and defence, particularly on defending Ukraine and providing it with the resources it needs against Russia. But there are also problems from the European side that they're not offering enough concessions, that is Downing Street, and therefore there may be some wrangling over that throughout the next couple of days.
OK, let's now speak to the government. We cross live and speak to the Minister of State for School Standards. Big day there, big announcement going to be made. Catherine McKinnell. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning.
Catherine, I'm going to give you the green light. Things are going to be obviously you get green or red, and that's simple enough, isn't it? I mean, red for stop, green for go. You can go, and that's really what you're trying to do for parents with these schools, isn't it? To say, this is obvious, this is how the school ranks.
So this is Ofsted's report card that it's consulting on, and obviously it's open to views and feedback, but fundamentally it will form a really important part of reforms that we're looking to bring about as a government to really drive standards and improved outcomes for children right up and down the country. We know that too many children still aren't getting the education standard that they should. 1 in 3 leave primary school without the fundamentals in reading, writing and maths. We know that far too many children are missing school, 1 in 5 regularly missing school. And we know that there's a really persistent disadvantage gap that is just not closing. So these report cards will provide a really important tool in the box to drive better standards for children right across the country.
Right, well, it hasn't had the best reaction, has it? The unions have said you failed to deliver. This is making things worse, not better. The sister, Ruth Perry, who's the head teacher who very sadly took her life after an Ofsted inspection, said it was a rehash of a dangerous system. And we were speaking to an Ofsted inspector earlier who said he's making it unnecessarily complicated. So how is this new system actually going to improve education for our children?
So what we had before was a very blunt system where you had a one-word judgment that rated a school. This will give a much more granular insight into what a school is doing well, and I think that's really important to celebrate and for parents to know, but also where a school has room to improve or needs improvement, and it will put a real spotlight on those challenges to make sure that we can drive those improvements and support schools to achieve better outcomes for children, which is fundamentally what all schools and teachers want to see.
Sorry to interrupt you, but is this not as blunt and as reductive as words were? It's numbers instead of words. It's still blunt.
Quite the contrary. It's looking at a whole broad range of measures. So the proposal is for 9 different areas to look at, and that's from the support that teachers are getting to develop, to the quality of the curriculum that's being delivered, to inclusion and making sure that children with special educational needs and disabilities are included within the school, and attendance and behaviour. And so where a school is really doing well on these issues, then other schools in the local area will be able to see that, and they can share best practice. But where a school really needs to improve, it provides a really diagnostic approach to how to tackle those issues. And Ofsted will also be making sure that schools have all that information, and information is power, and that is the power for schools to drive their own improvement and give better outcomes to children.
Well, you know who loves the power? Donald Trump loves the power, Catherine, so he does. What do you think about, when you talk about behaviour and attitude and whatever, do you think we've got to change that in any way towards America? And what I'm getting at is, his inference is, if we don't, he's going to slap you with a red or a green tariff.
So, I mean, we have a really important relationship with the United States. They're a key ally of ours. They're also a really key trading partner. We have about £300 billion worth of trade with the United States. We are the biggest investor in the United States. They are the biggest investor in the UK, £1.2 trillion invested in one another economies. And it's really important that we continue to build that relationship and build strong relationships with all of our trading partners, because fundamentally that's how we will continue to make things, to grow, and then invest in our public services like our schools.
Why then, when the threat of tariffs is over his head, is Sir Keir Starmer going for a cosy dinner with the EU in Brussels tonight?
So it's really important that, yes, we build and continue to build on those strong relationships with the United States, but also that we continue to build strong relationships with our nearest neighbours and strongest trading partners as well. And I think Keir Starmer's taking a really mature and grown-up approach after the chaos that we've seen for far too many years of just building really solid relationships with our allies, with our partners, because they are partners not just in trade, but in national security and defence as well. And it's really important that we continue to build all of these relationships that guarantee our national prosperity and security.
Is it not a benefit of Brexit, though, that we would be exempt from tariffs that are being slapped on the EU? It's just very strange timing that Keir Starmer would then decide to go for this cosy dinner, which won't even be a warm reception. We've been told that President Macron is going to say that Sir Keir Starmer's appearance at that dinner is a sign that Brexit has failed.
I mean, fundamentally, we inherited a terrible Brexit deal that the last government negotiated. So whilst there's no returning to the customs union, the single market or freedom of movement, we do need to improve that deal. We need to improve our trading relations. We need to break down barriers to trade where we can. And so it's important that we continue to build and develop those relationships that would enable us to do that. And I think we don't need to choose between the United States and our European partners. We are all part of NATO. We're all part of a fundamental defence alliance, and will continue to work in partnership with all of our allies and our trading partners in Britain's interest.
Well, Catherine McKinnell, green card to you. Thank you very much indeed. We have to leave it there. Catherine is the Minister for Schools Standards, talking about those and a few other things today.
Well, our poll of the day today is, does Britain risk being dragged into a US trade tariffs war if we get too close to the EU?
OK, what do you think about that? Well, here's the way you've been voting so far. 98% say, yeah, we better be careful because this will annoy Trump and this will get us into a standoff. 98% of you, 98, only 2% saying, no, we're safe enough getting close to Europe. So this is a complicated one. Martin Dobney will have the final result on that one at 3 o'clock this afternoon. But it's a good one to debate, and I'm sure Bev and Andrew will be doing that from 9:30.
And if you want to get involved, head to gbnews.com/poll. Okay. Now, some good news for you this morning as well.
This is just not good news, Ellie. This is phenomenal. This is amazing.
Yeah.
One has become two. We are giving you 2 chances to win our latest Great British giveaway.
Yep, 2 amazing prize bundles to be won, and each bundle contains a brand new iPhone, £500 to spend in your favourite store, and then £10,000 in tax-free cash.
Well, here's how you can do it. All the details you need, and good luck to you.
Want to be one of 2 lucky Great British giveaway winners? That's right, you could win one of 2 prize bundles, which includes a brand new iPhone 16, £500 in shopping vouchers to spend in your favourite store, and an incredible £10,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. What would you spend that cash on? For a chance to win an iPhone, vouchers and £10,000 in cash, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text both.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day.
bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
And fashionistas are keen to see which new trends are set to hit the catwalk.
Well, our next guest is very well placed to share her predictions with us after being a contestant on hit ITV series Dress the Nation, as well as being an upcycling and sewing consultant.
Wow. Joining us now is Tendai Murewe. I want to go back to you appearing on the ITV Dress the Nation.
Right.
Tell us about that experience. What was that like?
Oh, that was one of my highlights as a upcycling consultant. I learned to sew in my kitchen 5 years ago. And then, during COVID, just making masks. Then the next thing I was on a Dress the Nation, making dresses in front of TV. Yeah, it was just incredible. I think we all had all these clothes that we have, but we don't know what to do with them. So mainly I started with men's jackets, taking off the sleeves and putting it like a print on.
I've tried this. I've tried taking off my sleeves before. I now have about 3 jackets with no sleeves. I never managed to put them back on.
You need to come to a workshop. You need to come to a workshop.
I need an upcycling consultant. 2025. What can we expect, fashion-wise?
I think bold prints are back. People are loving. I think you walk on the streets in frollals and oversized men's jackets.
So the exact opposite. We have drastically underperformed this morning. You're just saying not like us.
We just woke up this morning and thought it's winter, it's cold, it's grey.
Grey, miserable.
Is that not the way to go?
No, it is. It's still, I think because fashion is expressive. It's whatever you want to express yourself.
GB News, the People's Channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now, 18 minutes past 9, the former British soldier, Daniel Khalif, will be sentenced later today after being found guilty of spying for Iran.
Let's get more on this. Our Home and Security editor, Mark White, is at the court and will give us the details. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning to you, Eamonn. Daniel Khalif will appear here at Woolwich Crown Court in about an hour's time for that sentencing, found guilty of Official Secrets Act offences, spying for a hostile state, that state being the Iranian Republic, and of course also terrorism offences, collecting the names of members of the special forces that he passed on to Iran. He also, of course, pleaded guilty to that audacious prison escape from Wandsworth Jail in South London in September of 2023. It was really that escape that brought him to public attention, because for 3 days after that escape, he used a pair of prison issue trousers that he cut up and made a makeshift sling underneath the food delivery truck to escape from this Category B prison. He was on the loose for about 3 days, and there was a huge manhunt for him involving police and security services before he was eventually arrested on a canal towpath in northwest London. The charges that he faces could well bring a very hefty prison term, because, of course, selling these secrets, as he did, to Iran are regarded as a very significant crime.
Mark, keep us posted throughout the day. We appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. It's now awards season officially, and last night, what the Grammys, it was their what?
The 67th Grammy Awards took place in LA overnight. So we've got Alex Davis here with us, who's going to fill us in on all of the latest news. You've got a new update on Bianca Censori.
Yes, the naked red carpet appearance that has dominated headlines this morning. We're still none the wiser as to whether they did get kicked out of the award ceremony, but we've got an update from Kanye's Instagram page. He rather cryptically just shared a photo of himself looking rather pleased with himself. And as somebody who covered the event, I can tell you that that is cropped from a photo which, if you were to zoom out, you would see his wife stood naked behind him on the red carpet.
I wonder whose teeth he's wearing there, because they're not his. Anyway, very
pearly whites, yeah.
Oh dear, so that has dominated.
It has dominated, but we did also have some awards to give out.
Yeah.
You would have been forgiven for forgetting. The four big ones, the big four, the album of the year went to Beyonce for her country album Cowboy Carter. It was also a brilliant night for a rapper called Kendrick Lamar. He won Best Song of the Year and Best Record of the Year for Not Like Us, which is famously a diss track against another fellow rapper called Drake. And Best New Artist, I was hoping would go to the British singer Ray, but it didn't. It went to Chappelle Roan.
Who is everywhere at the moment.
Who is absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, I love hearing that it's the 67th year of these. I wonder what the awards list would have been like 67 years ago. There'd be gramophones in those days.
Do you think anybody would have stepped out naked 67 years ago?
I don't think so. Don't think so.
Yeah, I imagine it was a very, very, very different looking ceremony. It was a bit of a mixed bag for the British sort of acts. Like I say, Ray missed out. Charlie XCX won 3 out of 8 of her nominations.
And the Beatles won for their AI album.
The Beatles did. While Beyonce had a bit of controversy for her Country Album Award, the Beatles also found themselves at the centre of a debate.
Alex, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Go get some sleep,
indeed.
Alex.
It'll be all song and dance with Andrew and Bev from 9:30. I'm looking at these music awards and I have no idea.
Never heard of any of them.
Beyonce.
That was the fun of that, was listening to Andrew go, no idea. No idea. So we are going to be doing a little bit on that. We'll try and clarify. We've got a really interesting MP we're going to be talking to, Alec Shelbrook, who lost a lot of weight on one of the weight loss injections.
Wow.
And he thinks there's stigma about weight loss drugs, which he wants to talk about because he thinks there should be no stigma. But we're saying, are there not side effects with these weight loss drugs too? Possibly.
Yeah. And also a guest, Peter Sefton, who thought that he had motor neurone disease and was so despairing at that decision that he was going to go to Dignitas, and actually it turns out it wasn't the diagnosis, that wasn't what he had.
Imagine if he'd gone.
Misdiagnosed?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Still has a condition which is problematic, but not as serious as MND would have been, so he's going to talk to us about that particular.
Well, thank goodness he didn't go to Dignitas.
Yeah, and very topical at the moment because of the assisted dying bill going through the Commons as we speak.
Yeah. And what else are we talking about?
The madness of Network Rail.
Oh.
Can't call somebody a passenger anymore, and also we're talking
policing the language on trains apparently, because staff being warned don't talk about pregnant women, presume that they're pregnant people.
Same old.
Guys, appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Have yourselves a good show. So our 3.5 hours have just flown by this morning. Hope you've enjoyed the ride.
Yeah, and we'll be back from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Up next, as you just saw, Andrew and Bev. Here's the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Looking ahead, it's going to be turning wet and windy in the northwest, drier in the southeast, but turning colder as we see higher pressure building. So it's been a cold start across the southeast, but a bright start here across much of England and Wales, though it is going to be a largely dry day through Monday. There'll be a few showers, maybe across the Midlands and the southeast of England, but across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, increasingly unsettled, wet and windy with heavy spells of rain, but mild here, temperatures coming up at around 10 or 11 degrees. So through the rest of Monday evening then, that band of rain will continue to slowly edge its way in from the west, affecting much of Scotland during rush hour. So do take care if you are out and about. There'll be some strong winds and perhaps some surface water flooding. Across Northern Ireland, a cloudy picture here with outbreaks of rain just edging in later on in the evening. Across much of England and Wales, though, holding on to generally cloudy skies and staying largely dry. So as we go through the rest of Monday evening and overnight, heavy spells of rain persisting across Northern Ireland and much of Scotland, slowly sinking its way south and eastwards and accompanied by some very strong winds. Towards the south of that, though, largely dry across much of England and Wales, and temperatures for all of us staying up above freezing. So a frost-free start to Tuesday. But a damp start, especially across northern parts of England and then into Wales, with this band of rain slowly trying to sink its way south and eastwards. Ahead of that, often dry and cloudy across much of south and eastern England, but behind across Northern Ireland and Scotland, sunny spells, frequent showers, turning colder here. Some of the showers could turn a little bit wintry over the hills towards the south, highs of 10 or 11 degrees. Bye-bye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. On the A720 Edinburgh City bypass, there's a lane closed eastbound where there's an accident between the Lothian Burn Junction and the Straighton Junction causing queues. In Glasgow, the A77 is closed each way along Pollock Shores Road at Pollock Shields for repairs to a burst water main. Now, on the M6 in Lancashire, all lanes are back open northbound after an accident between junctions 31A and 32 towards the M55. There are still long delays, though, with queues back beyond junction 28 at Leyland. In West Yorkshire, the A64 is partly blocked eastbound by an accident on York Road at the Tory Road flyover in Leeds, causing queues. In South Yorkshire, the A630 is closed along Trafford Way off the A19 in